All the true green spirits. All right, so we're still waiting for two of the guys, but I see two people here. Lami,
Hi.
we'll need some more lightning, so it's lighting, so people can see you well. Don't be disguising
Lami, you
here.
look like you're in the twilight zone. All we're seeing is shadows and stuff.
I'm in.
Can we get more light, please?
Oh, she just left. All right, we have but Bulama just joined, Mr. Bulama.
Hi, Bulama.
And we are back live, Serious Banter for another episode. Today we are talking about law enforcement and the people. Is police really your friend? We know the answer to that question.
Let's take a deep breath.
But we are really topics and since this whole since this whole end SARS now, SARS must end, SARS must go, reform police, and all of these hashtags have come up. It's been a global phenomenon, and honestly, I'm very proud of everyone involved, both on land and on air. So when I say air, I'm talking about the people in the diaspora, people online really fighting, and people on ground braving the situation and really getting to it. We typically banter a lot on serious banter, but I suspect that today might be a little bit more serious because I'm not going to lie. If I can speak for everyone, everyone is ticked off, pissed off. We are mad, we are upset, and we want things to change. But we're going to have a very enlightening conversation today. I predict that, and like we always do, we have good conversations, and we really dig deep into things and get good understanding about everything we need to talk about. So we have a good panel. We are still expecting one more person. Hopefully he will join soon. But typically the way the show works, everybody is a guest, everybody's a contributor. So even the guests can ask anyone questions. It's not going to be a Q&A, more of a conversation. So we are going to talk to each other and have a nice conversation between an hour to 2 hours. But typically, depending on how sweet the conversation is, we even go over 2 hours. But we're not saying that's what's going to happen, but we'll see what happens. So before I go further, what I typically do is have Justin kind of give us his expectation for today.
And SARS. And SARS now.
And SARS now.
Now.
They've ended it, so we have SWAT. But that's later.
We'll
talk about that.
Evening, everybody. Trust me, I'm my smiles are just me being politically correct. Inside of me, there are absolutely no smiles. I can't find anything to smile about this week. When I think of the young people who've given their lives in the struggle in the past few days, the people who have been killed even before now, when I think about a couple of videos I saw where parents were crying, when I think about everything, the only thing that gives me joy is the fact that what has happened over the past few days have happened. So for the first time, some of the words of our national anthem are beginning to make sense, are becoming lived reality. So when we say, may the labors of our heroes past, right, not be in vain. Yeah. That's the only silver lining for me, the fact that the people who we've lost have not lost their lives in vain. If nothing else has been achieved, a very clear, resounding message has been sent out to the generation of our parents. I call them the class of 66. This is a clear shot. This is a clear shot across the bow to everybody. It's not business as usual. I have not seen takeaway football. Even in football, we still have banter. We still have
big brother.
Big brother. You still have the different camps. I'm struggling to find a parallel for something that has been this uniting amongst Nigerian youth since forever, and I can't easily find a reference point. Nobody is talking about North South. Nobody is talking about Yoruba, Igbo, Hausa, Fulani. No, in one resounding voice, Nigerian youth stood up the past few days and said, "You know what? You don't do. It's enough," and that's comforting. I mean, that's the only thing that gives joy. Otherwise, it's a complete shit show. Excuse my French. I'm not going to be very polite today. But like I said, it's a victory. It's a step forward. The journey is going to be well. It's going to take a lot more of this to unwind the spaghetti soup of a mess that we stand to inherit from this generation before us. But all that said, let me not hog the mic. But I actually think that we should probably open up the channel a bit more to viewers who want to jump on today, apart from our
yes. I was going to say that I'm going to send some messages, and because I also want to get some opinion from some of the people on the front lines. I've tried to get FK and some of these folks that really did a yeoman's job.
Shout out to FK. Shout out to Mo. Man, you girls rock. You girls rock.
Like I say, now be our leader. We are just following. Before we get going, I've tagged everyone on the post, on the live stream, on the one happening on Twitter. So it's on Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. So I've tagged everyone. If you could just quickly look at your phone and retweet and tell your people that we are on, so we can get more activity going on in the comment section and everything, and more people should view it live. It's just a podcast, so it's eventually get into a podcast. You can find it on all the channels within a couple of weeks. So again, everyone is welcome. If you would like to join and drop one or two comments, let us know. We'll send a link to you, the StreamYard link to you. We can only have 8 at a time, so we'll kind of do rolling if that needs to happen. But so we don't introduce people. We typically give you the first 3 minutes to state your case. Where you want to tell us about your background and you want to tell us what's on your mind or how topic we have. Time, so we'll kind of do rolling. There's a so
sorry, that was me. Go ahead.
No problem. So I don't know who wants to start. Maybe Kike, do you want to start? Tell us if you want to give us your background and why this topic really means. Why this topic really means something to you, and if you wanted to share anything. But the floor is just 2 to 3 minutes, and then we'll just move like that, and then we'll get into the meat of the whole conversation.
No problem. Hello, everybody. Good evening. This is a very good opportunity because I'm getting this opportunity to speak on this kind of issue. Well, I'm a risk and security analyst, and basically we deal with the threats that are occurring in our country. And I can assure you that the threat, apart from the issues we are having in the northern part of Nigeria and the banditry issue, the major threats we are having is also this issue with the special whatever special units they are called. I'm very, it's mean of me not to act like I don't know their full acronym, but the truth is the menace is just they are a menace to society. And I can assure you that I've always had my issues with the police. I am categorically saying police is not your friend. As young as I was, 5-6 year old, I'm a daddy's girl, so I practically follow my dad out to outings, and we come back really late, like 1 a.m., 2 a.m. And on my way back from all these outings with my dad, practically all the time, there is a police officer flagging the vehicle, always. Why are you flagging the vehicle? What is it? The tail light, is it bad? Is it the light in the vehicle? What exactly is the reason you're stopping the vehicle? You don't know, because all they do is, good evening, sir, may I know you? What is that about policing? What are you trying to do? Is that a routine stop and search? They are not searching the vehicle. They're not doing anything. They just want to stop your vehicle and ask you questions that are not worth it. So for as young as I was, at a 5-year-old, as a 6-year-old, I can hear the tone of my father, and his tone is always with disdain. This thing like, why are you stopping me? What is the reason you're stopping me? And you are carrying a weapon at the same time. You are not cordial. You are not trying as much as possible to, even if you're stopping to search me, you can say, oh, good evening. Hope you had a lovely evening. I apologize for stopping you abruptly. There's a way you approach people that will make people feel comfortable, that will not make them feel, like you're threatening them. And as far as I'm concerned, the police they've not stood categorically to say, this is how we want to do our jobs. And I have been very disappointed. And this is a long time coming. And I'm very glad this is happening this week, because one of the speakers this evening, David Udenye, has been speaking on these issues for a long time. And this is happening right now. And I am so excited. Thank you.
All right. Good. Lami, do you want to take it next?
Hello, everyone. My name is Lami Akujoy. I'm a communications and public relations consultant. First of all, police and friend in the same sentence. That's actually laughable. I have had my fair share of experience. Actually, one of the first things my dad told me growing up was, Olamide, if any police officer bullies you, bully them back. And I think that's how he raised me to just have a voice, because of the Nigerian police. My mom deals with the Nigerian police every day, and she has told me and my siblings categorically that she'd rather die than watch any child of hers, apply to be a police officer. It's everything. It's from welfare to how they're being trained, to the fact that the average Nigerian police is not even aware of their surroundings, to how the system and structure is, to the disrespect for the average Nigerian citizen, to the leadership of, it's a lot. To me, in my opinion, scrap police, I don't know, maybe bring the army in there for a while, and whilst you're training the police, it's all of that. It's not even, we can't even reform what? How are we even going to start reforming them? So if we start reforming them, what's going to happen to, who's going to start safeguarding our lives? It's a lot of, okay, so in the protest in today, they deployed the army because for some reason they probably spoke to them and said, you know what, we need the police off. They sent their big brothers, Nigerian army, to threaten us, chase us, and to just intimidate us, whilst we're in the front of National Assembly. And I tell somebody, as much as I feel intimidated, I'm okay with the fact that it's the Nigerian army in charge of this, because if it was Nigerian police, they would have actually flogged us. They would have waterlogged us. They would have thrown tear gas at us. But the Nigerian army actually said, you know what, we've been given strict orders. You just need to move back. Just move back. The Nigerian police that would have never happened. They would have straight on beaten people, rounded people up. That's the difference. There is no, we don't even have a structure in the Nigerian police. It's all of this and more. And that's why I'm upset. It's been a long time coming, and there's been no better time to discuss, fight, and push for this to happen. So, hey, here we are, NSAS.
NSAS.
I can tell you're not in any kind of good mood.
I know.
But,
I ran a lot today, so hey, my legs still hurt.
Oh, you were at the protest in Abuja?
Yes, I was.
All right, we'll talk about that in a little bit. Hey, Yan, we see you. Yan is one of our most loyal viewers. He's from Gabon. He's based in Ghana, but he loves a lot of conversations that we have. So, Mr. Bulama, can you please take us away? Please share as you indulge me. People do their own thing, but I just wanted to, because you just had a very important interview with Al Jazeera. So if you, as you are going to tell us, give you your 3 minutes, can you also get into that a little bit to talk about that case as a case study, and then as we dive deeper into the conversation, things will flow naturally. But I kind of wanted us to make, because some people may know you, some people may not know you, but you've done important work specifically with a casualty that resulted from SARS. So please take it away.
Sure. Thank you very much for having me, Bola, and Justin for the excellent introduction, but also to co-panelists Kike and Lami for a very good way of setting the stage. And I think your experiences mirror the experiences of every other Nigerian. None of us who grew up in Nigeria does not have nasty experiences with the Nigeria police. And this is sad. It is sad because the police should truly be the friends of those people they are set up by law to protect. Not only because the law requires that, but also because they can't succeed until and unless they carry the community along. Community policing is the best way to fight crimes and ensure that crimes are prevented before even they happen. Now, in 2014, when I first visited the UK, I was astounded when I met two police officers, had a dinner with them, and we chatted. And for the first time, I saw police officers that knew what they were doing. I was like, okay, so it's not in the uniform. Because I used to think everybody that carries that ID card is just some kind of, I don't want to use any, but so that tells you the level of rot in the system. If you have Nigerians saying, and Lami says, talked about how her parents wouldn't allow anyone to apply to the police force in Nigeria. And I can tell you, I was chatting to a friend about 6 months ago, and he tells me, look, I have a 16-year-old daughter, and I have told her never to bring anyone that says if he is a police man. Let her even not approach my house with him.
Wow.
These are people who should be our friends, who should be protecting the community, who cannot succeed without the support of the community. And as you know, and I will get to the story very soon, but as you know, I have been researching Boko Haram for 10 years and 11 years actually now, and now work with the Tony Blair Institute as their Sub-Saharan Africa analyst looking at extremist groups in Africa. Now, one of the key factors that led to Boko Haram's success in its initial recruitment of young people in the northeastern part of Nigeria was their opposition to the Nigeria police force. Because around 2003, 2004, 2005, the Operation Flush, which was an anti-banditry team, was put together by the Borno state government to fight rising banditry in the state. And they committed egregious human rights abuses. It was only Boko Haram's leader, Muhammad Yusuf, that was the religious leader that had the courage to speak against them publicly. And that attracted a lot of young people because they hated the police for what they were doing in the community. Now, in 2009, when there was the first clash between Boko Haram and the Nigerian security forces, which then led the group to become an insurgent group, it was the shooting of their members by 19 of their members by police officers on stop and search. They said they were not wearing motorcycle helmet, and they shot 19 of their members as a result of that. And then Boko Haram now said, look, these people are our enemies. They are protecting the state that is also helping them to kill us. Let's also carry guns and start killing people. That was how they succeeded. That's how we got into this mess. Now, it's heartbreaking when you have a system that should be working for the community now working against the community. Now, just to get to the story so I don't take too much of our time, as a human rights lawyer, mostly doing cases in the northern part of Nigeria, I have done dozens of cases against the police, especially SARS. And some people in the north don't know how brutal SARS is because they don't do it as openly as they do in the south. In the south, they stop you on the road and search your phone, your laptop, and all that. In the north, they are debt collectors. So if someone is owing you and they don't give you the money, just report them to SARS and pay SARS. SARS will torture them to pay you. They are marriage resolvers. If a spouse wants a divorce and the other party doesn't give a divorce, report them to SARS. They will torture them to give a divorce. They enforce contracts.
Interesting.
And in that, and I tell you, in each of these, I have personally prosecuted cases. In Lagos, they do it in the city. I did a case in Jigawa in which SARS members stopped people on the road, one Igbo man, one Hausa man, Stephen and Habila. They robbed them and shot each of them 4 times in the leg. They robbed them and then framed them as armed robbers. And while investigation was going on, they took Habila's SIM card. In the name of investigation, they said it's an exhibit. They collected the password, and the investigating SARS officer stole from Habila's account, repeatedly for the 7 months he was in prison. When I got him on bail, Habila went to the bank, and about 180,000 naira has been withdrawn from his account. We approached the SARS officer, and he started pleading and crying that his mother was sick, as if his mother is our mother. That was why he was stealing from Habila. And when we reported him, they refunded the money, but they said they had punished him. The punishment was they transferred him to another state, so he would go and continue stealing.
Okay.
I haven't got into that case in Kano, but we'll get into it when the conversation starts. But it's a heartbreaking story. I mean, it's a sad situation.
Wow.
Oh. Okay. Let me take a deep breath. Do you want to go into the story, or you want to jump into a little later on the actual case that you?
No, I can go into it. So in that case, and it happened in 2013. And what actually happened was there was a domestic dispute between a lady whose boyfriend was a police officer. Maybe they are still together, and her own brothers. They were her own brothers, of course, not siblings, but they were related they were related in some way, and it happened in their house. She visited their own house, and they had a dispute in their own house. Now she reported them to her boyfriend, who then informed SARS officers. They came and rounded up the 2 boys, 24-year-old and 26-year-old, one on service, one had just got admitted to the American University of Cairo. They took them to SARS office, and they tortured them repeatedly for several days. At a point, they made those boys to remove their beard with their bare hands. Each of them had to remove everything on his face, his bare hand. And they used stops to continue hitting them in the head and all over the body until one of them went into coma. Now, when he got into coma, they phoned the father and said, okay, we are releasing him on bail, and they released him. He spent 5 days in the hospital in coma and died. Now, that was the 24-year-old that should be going to Cairo in a few weeks. Now, they contacted me. I went to the hospital and saw him, I think, on the day he would die. And then we prosecuted the case at the Federal High Court in Kano. Now, we had the certificate of death, which says it was injury to his head, and blood was gushing out of his nose, even out of his ears when he died. Now, we had his brother who survived, was released on bail after we applied to, after we moved our motion in court, and therefore he deposed to an affidavit saying what happened to him and his brother. And then at the end of the day, the court found that the deceased died as a result of the beating he received at the hands of SARS. And I can tell you the officer in charge of SARS in Kano on that day was one of those that was involved in the beating, and he oversaw everything until the boy went into coma. So the court said they should pay 10 million naira as damages to the family, render public apology, and it says the Inspector General of Police should do something about the officers. And by should do something, our understanding was that they should be investigated and prosecuted for killing the Hassan. Now, of course, the police was represented in court, but even at that, I wrote to the Inspector General of Police, drawing at his attention to the judgment and asking him to investigate and prosecute the police officers. They did not investigate. They did not pay the compensation, and they did not render public apology. And instead of prosecuting that officer, the next thing I heard, less than a year after, a few months after I had written my letter to the IGP, was that police officer had been promoted from being the head of SAS in Kano to become the head of SAS in Abuja. And so he became the national head of SAS. And that's why I tell people, SAS is completely rotten. So if you say it's an irreformable system, because everyone from the beginning to the end, of the chain, was deliberately selected and deployed because he is the most vicious, most violent, and most reckless police officer in his unit. That was why he became qualified to go to SAS. Now, as I speak to you today, that police officer, and I can tell you his name, Yusuf Kolo, DSP Yusuf Kolo. Unfortunately, he's a lawyer by training. But you know, even when you are a lawyer, when you get into that system, then everything changes. Now he is today one of the most senior police officers because he is head of the Special Tactical Unit. He has been given another promotion. And he is in the inner cycle of the Inspector General of Police as we speak today. And there is a court judgment by Federal High Court saying he is responsible for the murder of a Nigerian. They appealed, and the appeal has been struck out by the Court of Appeal. But he is still a police officer. He is still in the inner cycle, and here we are. Look, Bola, don't let me continue speaking because as I speak now, my anger can boil rice.
It's the collective sigh for me. It's the collective sigh for me.
Catch your breath. Bulama, you need to catch your breath.
Sorry?
I said you need to catch your breath. Even me listening.
Sure.
My temper is rising as you're talking.
I'm almost speechless. I don't even know.
You are speechless because there is no banter today.
Rather, it incites me even further. It incites me even further because our system doesn't even make it easy for you to persecute, which was what I keep coming back to what David said on Twitter. Immediately that so-called reform came out on the 17th, he started scrambling to search for that law, and eventually it came out, and they saw, all lawyers on the timeline saw what it was saying, but everybody wanted to be all, okay, I went to school. I guess the Constitution says, the article says, then everybody start writing their tweets like, oh, he's so wrong on this, he's so wrong on that. I can assure you that from that law, from that so-called reform, see, the truth is this, we have mediocrity running the lines in our country. So definitely, it was definitely copy and paste from the previous one. They wouldn't have changed anything. And that is a fact. So if someone comes and whistleblows and says, guys, this thing in this article, in this reform, it's giving these people more powers. Everybody had something to say. All the lawyers on the timeline were like, as if they don't know that our system doesn't even begin to allow you follow the so-called due process to get people out of these situations. Some of us can fight. Some of us are bold. For example, like I said, I'm a daddy's girl. So definitely, he put in me this kind of courage and boldness that I get to become like Incredible Hulk when I feel like I'm being, bullied or abused. I can fight. But not everybody has that. Not everybody has that cojones, like they say in Spanish, to fight. Not everybody. So we need to understand that as a youth, and I'm happy that this is happening at this very moment in time. Because how can a vicious person that vicious. You know what? Even that type of torture is not used for people in Guantanamo. How can you like
how
blunt
do you
force
where do you come up
continuously
with
to the
stuff like
head
that?
until a 24-year-old boy, you know? These are all the issues that are rising up. And so how can we say these people are our friends? They've not shown once that they are our friends. Not once. Not once in the like Bulama said in the beginning, every one of us have experiences. I might not have had a personal assault experience, but I assure you that I have had consistent situations where I've had to talk to a police officer with a gun. They're only flexing their muscles whenever they carry a weapon. That weapon can even misfire on most occasions. So why do we find ourselves as a people always suppressed by these groups of people that are supposedly there to protect and serve? It annoys me, and every single day I see people's rights trampled upon, it annoys me even further, because not every one of us have the cojones to fight back. And so we as youth, I am so excited about what is happening this week. I am so excited. Then we need to understand also something, like he has explained. Imagine all these things he's telling you about, the processes he had to go through for the family, going to court. I am assuring you that it wasn't quick. It took him months and months. The system doesn't even allow for justice to be served quickly. It is taking months, even years, if you are not careful. We saw the banner of that lady that put it up that since 2005, her brother had been in custody of SARS. They don't even know if he's still there or he's dead now. And those are the stories we have. So how can we say that kind of group is our friend? How? Where? From where? And so it hurts my heart every time I hear the stories, because it shows that one, nobody really care about us. Nobody. They don't care about us. They do not. It is a fact. And so these people are not our friends. Thank you.
All right.
Jeez.
Okay. So I want us to do something. Because I don't know how I'm going to survive this show, because I'm about to lose my mind. So I want us, let's piece all of the conversation. Let's break it down. So I live in the US, but my business is in Nigeria. So I go back and forth. But I'm not going to lie to you. As a person, generally, I don't care where I'm at. I really don't like police. And I have this philosophy about power. I was in front of a club in Houston one day, and this black guy, black police, just came next to me and just shoved me away. What did I do? I just stood up. I turned around. And it was like the push was a momentum for me to just keep moving on, because I know what can happen if I just raise my voice and say, "Guy, what did I do to you? Why did you push me? Why did you push me?" So my point is that, and I know Bulama said something about the reason why I'm bringing this up was you said something about when you went to the UK. You were like, "Oh, I now I know that it's not the uniform." But I want to push back a little bit that in some cases, I feel like it is the uniform, because and so especially that's why police recruitment is probably the most important thing police can do. The kind of people they bring in, because once you come in and you are not of the right cloth, you're not the right person to be a police. That uniform is like pouring petrol on fire. So I kind of want, and I don't know who wants to take this, but I want us to talk about the institution of police itself. What is it in it that? Because I don't believe these people are born that way. You mentioned that they select the craziest or the hardest of them specifically to be in SARS. I know the economic situations and their family situations that make people the way they are. But I feel like once that uniform is on, and uniform doesn't necessarily mean physical or literal uniform. Police, being part of a police, it's your uniform, in my own opinion. So my question is, what is it, Seth, about being in the police that potentially makes people crazy because look,
It's the-
a lot of what's going on to me seems
So I'm
crazy.
gonna ask. So I'm gonna. Okay. So I'm
Go
gonna, I'm
ahead.
gonna butt in. I think I get it. So it's not just police, though. Do you know that even your security guard, the bare one you put at the gate in your estate, right? Once you give him a uniform and you tell him to man it, they go crazy. The only difference is, and I think this is what the bulk of the chant and protests and anger is, accountability. If this guy had gone berserk on you in Houston, somebody would have called him to order. Or even at the back of his mind, you know that he cannot just misfire because he's accountable to something. He's accountable to a system.
He can. Have you watched the news? Oh, yes, he can.
I understand. I
definitely
understand. But it really differs, right? This is Nigeria where the police will tell you, we go waste you, nothing will happen.
Mhm.
We go tell them, say, you be Boko Haram. You go miss. You know, all of these statements are things that I've heard people.
So my question is, what is the incentive for them to be saying that? Well, are you just happy to kill someone?
Because they have a weapon. Me, I think it's the weapon.
They have a
I think
weapon.
it's the weapon. The weapon is the only thing.
So before the NSC, that civil defense, before they gave them the right to have to bear firearms, they used to just hold like batons, right?
Yeah.
At the time, they weren't as crazy as it got when they said they should start holding weapons. It intoxicates to give somebody power. I mean, let's talk about America. Both of the problem is that a lot of people have guns and people are losing their minds. The black citizens that have gun lose their minds. A white man that has a gun thinks that it's okay to gun down a black man because he's armed. It's not just a police thing. You give people power, they misuse it. But the only difference is your system accountable? Are there repercussions for things? And there's levels to repercussions.
No, there are no repercussions in Nigeria.
That's what I'm saying. The level of repercussions.
I keep hearing in Nigeria, and in my mind, I'm like, and everywhere. Like, where have you heard that? Okay, maybe in Europe.
There's levels to this thing, though. There's levels to this thing.
No, I think Bola is right that there are issues with the policing system in the US, but it's nowhere compared to Nigeria.
We know that.
It's nowhere compared to Nigeria.
It's not. I'm not trying to compare.
I'm
thinking the institution of police.
Yeah, but regarding your question around why, there are many reasons, and I'll just mention several of them, and I'm sure other panelists will pick up. The first is that I don't know for the US and the UK because I haven't lived here in the UK for long to understand, or I have never been to the US. But in Nigeria, you only go to the police, especially if you are. You are getting there as a junior person. You only go to the police if you have failed your secondary school exams, and the community is frustrated with you, and nobody wants to have anything to do with you. So you are crazy in the neighborhood. They will say, okay, why doesn't he apply to the police? And so it begins from the application process itself. And then when you go to the training, and I tell you this as someone who has heard from a friend who was a very good man, he went to the police, and I can tell you today, I can't believe what he has become. But in the initial stages of his being going rogue, he would tell me the process he was going through. Right from the barracks, when you start the training, the 6-month training they usually do, even for those they would commission. Now, everything has to do with bribe. You can't sleep on time unless you pay bribe. You won't get a pass to go to the town and shop unless you give bribe. If you are late to something, so it
so
starts right from the training.
Even our national youth force. I mean, it's a system. It's the whole system. Even our national youth force. When people are on the 2-week camp, they bribe military officers to go to leave Mami Market. I don't know how this thing. They bribe them. I said they want to leave. So it's the system.
So in the training itself, you are trained to be corrupt because you will have to pay bribes after bribes. And when you sit for the exams, forget it if you won't pay anything. You won't pass it, even if you are the most intelligent in the class. And then you come out. If you are a junior person, they give you that long AK-47. You have a black cloth which attracts heat, and you are under 30 degrees, 35 degrees Celsius. You are hungry, and you see people going in cars with aces on in the car. So they are frustrated, they are tired, and they are angry on Nigerians. If you make it, if you have a car, you have a laptop, they don't have it, so you are in trouble because they see you as the person that is the problem.
I completely, you see, the thing is, I understand what you're saying, but the truth is I'm not accepting it. We, in Nigeria, one thing I have realized is this: we give excuses for people's misbehaviors.
No, this is not an excuse. This is explanation. Understand that this is not a justification.
No, I completely understand. I completely. No, I'm just presenting how we kind of take things. For example, we know very well that the system has been created in a way that you can maneuver yourself by paying some kind of small money to get things done faster. Passport office, pay a higher sum to an agent that will quickly help you with the passport and get it out. So the system where you're supposed to, you can pay for yourself, go to the passport office, do the system. The system is more difficult than you paying an agent. No, I'm necessary. I understand what you're trying to say. I'm just trying to say how we as a people, we've accepted these systems as they are. Like, this is the way it is. Imagine you knowing that whenever someone is caught by SARS or police officers, you have to pay your way out. That is the only way. There is no way you can talk to police officers because they are not reasonable until you show some cash. Right? Yeah. That's what I'm saying. Like, that is what we've come to accept as a people. Right?
Can I come in here, guys? Sorry, Kike.
May I quickly just finish this?
Okay.
May I quickly just finish this line of thought?
Yeah,
okay. Go ahead. Immediately, this is the system. So I want to compare it to, for example, some police officers in West Africa. Police officers that are on the road, most of them have 2 years of law before they stand on the roadside. So there is no way you are conversing with a police officer. Fine. At the end of the day, they are now being taught that they can collect bribes. But you will still be able to reason with the police officer. For example, just your intonation and be like, oh, wow, your French sound different. It will release you based on that, but not in Nigeria. You cannot reason. You have to part with some money, you know. So for me, that is something that we need to begin to like move away. Yes, it is an explanation, but we need to begin not to, you know, accept those things.
I know you have a French.
Yeah, sure. Please go ahead.
Can you give us an example of the country?
Yeah,
Justin, please go ahead.
I'm actually curious.
Yes.
All right, Justin, come in.
Yes, this is an experience.
I was going to say that
all the all the Francophone countries, Côte d'Ivoire, Togo, Benin, Gabon, for example, you have these police officers. They have 2 years in the university. They do 2 years of the law course with everybody before they now go to their police school. And like it's like a study when you go to their police school. You know, it's different from our own schools here. There, it's like you're going into school, you are writing, you are like focused, you are like at a university. So the system is totally different from ours. So maybe that's why they're a bit more kinder. But there, you can actually take your case to the police, and the police will try to sort the issue out. Right? But in Nigeria, no, the police doesn't try to sort the issue out. You pay for this, you pay for that, you pay for this, you pay. You know, it's so unfair. It's just unfair. It's unfair.
Right. Well, unfortunately, I have a very, very bad experience. So maybe it's because I don't speak French, but all the experience I've had in Togo and Benin Republic has been as Nigeria, to be honest. That's why I think it's probably an African thing. I always say Africa is a country. So maybe it's because I'm not French. I didn't. Especially in Togo, I literally.
Oh my gosh. I can't hear anything. I'm so sorry.
If you can't hear, log out and log back in. If you can't hear,
no problem. It's fine now.
Okay, it's fine now. All right.
Yeah, it's fine now.
Okay, everybody.
Yes, thank
everybody,
you.
Quick sound check. Can everybody hear my voice?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah,
I can hear you. Can you
hear me?
Okay.
Justin.
All
right. Now I can hear you. Yes, now I can hear you, Lami.
I was saying that I have a different experience from what you're saying because this sounds alien to me. I don't know, maybe it's because I'm not French speaking. I don't speak French, you know, apart from the bonjour and all of that.
Okay.
I think I've had a very, very bad experience with police officers in especially Benin and Togo Togo. That place. I always said I was never going to go back. I think it was. I think.
Okay.
I think it's probably because I don't speak French. It was really bad. I think it's as bad as Nigeria.
You know, I've made a mistake. So if
why I'm
you're
very
listening
curious.
and you're from Togo or Ghana or anyone you want to join, send me a message, send us a DM, and I'll bring you on. If you have any experience from any African country, I'll add you on. Justin, please.
I think in your
oh my God.
I think in your case, Lamin, they might have spotted you on social media shouting "Ensa," so they showed you Pepe on behalf of their colleagues in Nigeria.
Lamin, the police officers in Ghana are so polite. Like when you're talking, when you're having conversations with them, it's like you're like,
guys,
like,
okay.
Chibi, this is police.
Now
Ghana.
This is police. You know, even you start questioning your education. Like, did I go to school?
Guys, wait.
Justin, please. Sorry.
These things do not exist in absolutes. What I mean by that.
Okay.
Kike, if I say take me on an excursion around Benin Republic or Togo, we would find bad examples of police. We would find examples of policemen acting badly. If we went on an excursion around Nigeria, and I'm not talking about
I agree.
I'm simply saying these things don't exist in absolutes.
Yeah,
right?
but Justin, the difference is in Nigeria,
I agree.
You wouldn't be looking for a bad police officer. You would be looking for the good one, and you hardly would find. You would find.
Fair point.
I don't disagree. That's why I say.
I agree, but in Nigeria, the case is totally like more intense.
So
I totally agree.
So here's the thing. I don't want us to conflate the general malaise of our police force with the issue of SARS. They are related, but they are not the same. Yes, the police force needs reform. The police force has, you have to look for the good eggs. But you see SARS was a unique, well, they've renamed them now. Oh, sorry, they've banned them now. SARS was a phenomenon in and of itself. How do I mean? So you can talk about the regular police formations who are corrupt in the course of discharging their duties. So if you went to lay a complaint, they will tell you to bring money for mobilization. If you went to get a police extract, even for a car accident, which you need for your insurance processing, they would. Do you understand? There's that level of corruption, which is very prevalent. But it's a whole different ball game that a group of people who were sanctioned by the state, given arms, went around kidnapping people. At this point, you're not talking about corruption again. We have to find another name. Went around kidnapping, murdering, extorting. That's why I used to say, let's complete the issues. This is why Nigerian
imagine the stories even Mr. Bulama has given us. Bulama's the stories.
This is why people stood up in such huge numbers in unison, because this is like nothing we had experienced before, right? I mean, people come out of their houses and they are whisked away. They are whisked away in a vehicle, and their families are asked to come and pay a ransom. That's kidnapping. All right, so let's not conflate those two things so that we can keep this SARS issue in very stark relief for people who is not their lived reality, right? SARS had to go. This is why it had to go. They had gone rogue. And when you say people have gone rogue, you're not discussing that the man is asking for a bribe when you
can we even call it? Can we even say they've gone rogue or they don't exist anymore?
They are the word rogue itself.
It's appalling.
Yeah, this is what SARS was. SARS had become an antithesis of what the state is supposed to be. I mean, society is a social contract. We give up our individual freedoms in exchange for collective freedom, and then we entrust the state with power and authority, which is the legacy. Say, right, hold this power in the common good so that everybody will respect their boundaries. And then you take certain steps for the common welfare. Now, when an agency of the state begins to do the kind of things that SARS was doing, it is completely unacceptable.
Unacceptable.
And I need this to be very clear.
Completely.
It's completely unacceptable. That's why exactly. That's why people were saying when they said, "Oh, let's talk about reform SARS." No, this is not reform. End it, kill it. It's completely unacceptable.
They need to go.
Having done that,
Kill
we
it.
can now go back and look at the police force and say, what are the things that are
Reforming the
wrong
police
with our
force.
police formations?
Exactly.
That's just what I wanted to bring out in the conversation.
Oh, okay. Because you're like perfectly right. But the story Bulama gave us is like, I would say, is the foundation for even the argument. For me, that if I was a judge and I was sitting in on a case where they're saying, okay, this is the situation, this is the determination, and they're telling me, immediately Bulama comes up and say, my lord, this and this and this is what happened, I would easily just say, okay, this is the foundation. And I'm now hearing 2, 3, 4, 5 stories that corroborates that. I'm definitely removing them, like they will not exist anymore. Because it doesn't make any sense for me where, how can we have police? You know, sometimes
So I have a question.
Some situations make it seem like some things are impossible. Scandinavian countries are showing us that it is possible to police a country and not have issues with the people. Ghana, that is close to us here, has shown that you can actually have police on the road that do not threaten the very existence of people. So why is this Nigerian case different? Why? What is it about it that they cannot just up and say, this is what we need to do, this is what we need to do, let us start this way, let us do this, let us scrap this, these people are no more useful. Now my question is this, who even gave SARS the audacity to begin to come on the roads, to just come on the road and just start driving around in buses
that's a good question,
and just begin to threaten individuals? I need to ask that question. Who gave them the leeway to just be coming out for no reason? Because they're a tactical unit, and tactical units are supposed to fight armed robbery. So that's when we as security analysts, we call those kind of situations government security response. They are a government security response type of tactical unit, where when there is an ongoing armed robbery, especially with the robberies that we've heard about in some southwestern states and in Kogi State, where armed robbers go into banks, they were supposed to be very useful in that kind of scenario. So why are they, who gave them that audacity to start just coming on the road and just staying and stopping people? Me, I just need to get that part so that I would understand how this thing began to dwindle and worsen.
You are asking about why, I mean, what brought them on the road, but the first question is, even what business does a person who fight armed robbers have in the towns? Because we know armed robberies happen on highways, they happen in rural areas mostly, and that's why
I mean now, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'm talking about now, and now you are talking about kidnapping because people don't have cash. So members of families are kidnapped, so you will go and withdraw in the bank and take it to them. But then one other thing I think we should mention, because it's not only on the road, as I keep saying. Some of you might have watched BBC's Africa Eye documentary last year about torture by Nigerian police or security agencies generally. And I worked with them on parts of that story. And there are other things I know personally by my interactions in SARS and other places. And one thing I discovered in the course of my work and in the course of the research is that in each police command, SARS has a torture chamber. There are torture chambers. I mean, it's small, but you have electric shockers there, where they use it to shock suspects to confess what they want them to confess.
Is this legal in Nigeria?
It's illegal. I mean, Nigeria has passed the Anti-Torture Act 2017. In 2017, before then, you have provisions of the Constitution that you can't mete out inhuman, degrading treatment and others. Now, so torture is outlawed by the Constitution, You have the Anti-Torture Act that prescribes punishment, some 20 years imprisonment for torture. But the problem with the Anti-Torture Act is that it makes, it provides that it is police officers that will investigate cases of torture and send it to the Attorney General for prosecution. And I think that's part of what Kike was speaking to earlier. Because by our legal system,
of course,
it will never happen. And even in the case,
guys, please let's just do one at a time so that we can all hear everyone, and also so we can get everyone to get the conversation going. So, Bilal, please finish this line of conversation. And I want to go into a different angle. I want to ask about the judiciary. So when you finish this, allow me to ask that question about the judiciary.
Sure. So I was saying, so the Anti-Torture Act expects police officers to investigate, but in Nigeria, they are the prime suspects of of torture, and therefore it's a broken system. And Kike was speaking to this point earlier, and I think our viewers need to get it clear for those of us who might not be related to law, may not understand how the system works. Now, in the case in Kano, I told us about compensation and other things, but I said they were not prosecuted. That's because as private lawyers, you cannot prosecute a criminal case. A criminal case can only be prosecuted by the Ministry of Justice. And the Ministry of Justice cannot prosecute any criminal matter until there is an investigation by the police, and the police compile what they call case diary and send it to them. And so if the police refuses to investigate, there is nothing the Attorney General can do. And if it is a police officer that is involved, definitely the police will not investigate. But they may investigate, but they may not forward the case diary or even remove vital evidence. So even when it goes to the Ministry of Justice, there is nothing to base the case on. And because the system is a criminal prosecution, if there is any doubt, if there is any piece of evidence that is removed, the case will fail. And that's the problem. So there is nobody to hold the police accountable in Nigeria. And that's why one of the things I want to see out of this process, the larger reform, the broader reform, is there should be an independent office for police conduct. That is that is independent of the police. It could be under the National Human Rights Commission. It could be an independent office on its own, and its duties should be two. Number one, set up standards for policing in Nigeria. So it is not the police or the Inspector General that will determine how a police should act.
Yeah, but
it is that
sorry,
commission.
Bulama, isn't that a replication of what the Ministry of Justice Ministry of Police Affairs?
They also have Police Service Commission, no? Don't forget.
No, that's for welfare. The Service Commission is to take care of their welfare and all of that. Now, what is the function of the Ministry of Police Affairs? Shouldn't what you're suggesting come on that?
Affair
so that we don't
welfare.
Duplicate.
Justin, affair and welfare, don't they sound as the same thing?
Technically, no. When you say welfare, you're looking after their conditions of service and all of that.
Yeah, but
rules of procedure and all should be different.
In the current arrangement, every allegation against police officers are treated by the police, and they do orderly room trial, and then they discipline them. If it is criminal, then it would need to go to court. And the point I'm making, it doesn't matter, even if it is under Police Service Commission or anywhere, just have an independent office different from the police that will set up standards and also receive complaints and investigate. So if there is any complaint against a police officer, it's not their colleague that will investigate. It will be a different person, different institution, either under the Police Service Commission or the Police Ministry for Police Affairs or National Human Rights Commission or anything.
I do have a question. I do have a question, Bulama.
Well, hold on, Kike, please.
Sorry, Kike, hold on.
Just go on, and then you go.
No, it's fine. Justin, go ahead.
The challenge that I have, Bulama, while I agree with what you've said, is our situation is such that, the way I see it, the best designed systems, the best designed protocols will be sabotaged by willing humans. We have a socio-cultural issue, which is why we don't have the worst designed institutions in the world. We're very good on policy making, actually.
Paper.
The problem is implementation, right? That's where we come up against a wall. There's a reorientation that needs to happen across the board, because no matter the kind of controls you put in place, as long as it is human beings that are meant to do, if you set up a new, I mean, we said corruption was an issue in Nigeria, police couldn't deal with it, and that's how come we've ended up with a duplication of functions all over the place. We said, but there was corruption all over the place and the police couldn't do it, blah, 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 the ICPC couldn't do it, and voila, the eagle was born, EFCC. Well, look how far we've come with EFCC, right? And while we were talking about EFCC, yes, they can't do politicians. Oh, no, it's not an attack dog of politicians. They now focused on, yes, we have these young people, Yahoo boys, kill them. That's about the only thing you see EFCC is good at, and I commend them for it. But your mandate is way beyond that, right? While we were talking about that, SARS also jumped on and said, this same Yahoo boys on the road. So every young person is now a Yahoo boy. You see how the de-escalation, or you see how the decay happens. So I'm saying, the point I'm trying to make is, we need to begin to direct our minds towards a reorientation, a check on our value system as a people. Otherwise, bring us the best designed systems. People will sabotage it. People will, same mindset, the same way of doing things, people will sabotage it. And my final thought on that is, I like what I saw this week. It gives me hope. I like the leadership that people have shown. I like the accountability. I like the cooperativeness. I like the sacrificial giving, right, that people have shown. I like the willingness to leave self behind that most people, not everybody, because there's some fear of you moving mad out there, right? That most people showed, right? And it tells me we can still get this thing right. And that's not to say we shouldn't focus on institution building. I'm just saying.
And I think your conclusion, captures it all, Justin. I totally agree with you that we need to do reorientation, and it's not only the police; it's the whole country's value system. But as you said noted in the last sentence, however strong your values are, you need institutions. And I will give you an example of what I mean. In Nigeria, for example, medical and dental practitioners have an independent body that investigates allegations against them and prosecutes them. And disciplines them, the Medical and Dental Practitioners Tribunal. And I can tell you, many people don't know, and I know that there are bad doctors in Nigeria, but at the hearing, when you mention that name, medical and dental practitioners, to a doctor, you will see the scare in him, because he knows that they take their job seriously, they are independent, and they punish them. In the Nigeria police, we don't have that kind of system. What we have is the police investigating by itself.
Maybe Davido should have brought you along to go to the IG's office because it took all these people that have no.
I do have a question.
Yes, I was going to bring you in. Kike, please go in. And then we'll move to the judiciary segment.
Yeah, Bulama. Okay, please, Bulama. When it comes to police brutality, is it going to be a civil or a criminal case if you have a client that wants to express dissatisfaction or claim it was assaulted by the police? Is it going to be a civil or a criminal case?
It's both. And so you can proceed criminally. Both. So criminally you proceed in the case of, for example, you can go under the Anti-Torture Act and ask for imprisonment, but it can also be under the law of tort, under criminal assault and battery, and other criminal legal provisions, even grievous bodily harm under the criminal code and the penal code. Okay. But as that is going on, you can then initiate a fundamental right proceedings, which is civil, whose aim will be to get compensation on behalf of them. So they will be punished criminally, and then the victim will be compensated civilly.
Yeah, kind of even like that. It's not kind of how it works in the
Okay,
US.
so
Look,
wouldn't there be the situation for litis pendants? So do you file the two charges at the same time, or you wait for one to be done, then you go to the other, or you expect that by the time the judge is giving a judgment on maybe the criminal case, he's giving a civil judgment at the same time for damages? Is that the
Yeah.
case?
So in this case, you can go anyways because the criminal one is not in your hands. It is bound to be delayed. So what we did in Alpha's case was to
Okay.
proceed with the civil one first, and then the criminal can come later. But in some cases, the criminal might finish, and that's what I did in another case in Jigawa. The criminal finished, and then I filed a fundamental right proceedings using the criminal proceedings as my evidence that they were illegally tortured. Now, but you can. There is one other approach, but you can't rely on it, which is that the prosecutors can, after conviction, ask for compensation inside the criminal proceedings. So at the end of the criminal proceedings, the prosecutor might apply for compensation on behalf of the victim. It's not reliable because courts don't give too much money. They give very little money when it comes to applying for compensation inside a criminal proceedings. But even in the case of rape, one of the approaches I had started before leaving Nigeria was when I report a rape case to the police and they have started investigating, I would also file a fundamental right case because the girl was violated. Her fundamental right to dignity has been violated. Her fundamental right to liberty has been violated, and therefore proceed under fundamental right proceedings to ask for civil damages. So it can go simultaneously, but one can also go before the other. I mean, there is no hard and fast rule there.
all right. All right. So because of time, we have to move a little bit faster. So I'm
Okay.
sorry.
Thank you,
So,
Bulama. Thank you so much.
so we just have Chris just joined. Chris, 2 minutes. Give us your
Hi, Chris.
assessment of
Hi guys.
of how you see things,
Hi guys.
and then we'll move to the judiciary thing.
Yeah. So I can't think of anything, and this is probably to my shame. I can't think of anything that has happened in Nigeria in the last few years that has moved me to get so involved by donation and calling my local MP and the contacts I have in the UK politics and this, because everything else has kind of jaded me up to a point, to a point where you just go, kind of raise your arms up and what can you really do? But this, for me, the fact that we have young people who do not have any memory of a Nigeria that was ever good, young people who've been born in the last 25 years who have only grown up in a world where the social media is out there, they can do remote work, and now because they are having to raise themselves up without the help of the state, are being brutalized by the police. So it got me thinking about, living here in the UK. I've lived in China for a bit. I've lived in Poland for a bit. I've lived in Germany for a bit. And I've lived in the US more recently. I started to think about the dynamic of the relationship we have with the police in all of these places that I've lived in. And I kind of disagree with you a little bit, Bola, in terms of you saying it's all the same. I'm more on Bulama's side where he talks about the relationship of the uniform and the context in which they work. So Bulama, you recognize this, that every time you go to a new town in the UK that you've never been to before, and you come out of the station or you drive into town and you're lost, who do you ask for directions first?
Yeah, it's clear.
Right?
Yeah.
Right? So it's just that instinctive thing. No one ever told me this when I moved here, decades ago. No one ever told me that when you get lost, you ask a policeman. But just because of that dynamic between the citizen and the policeman, which in the UK is actually enshrined in law by Robert Peel, which says it's policing by consent. So until very recently, after Al Qaeda and the terrorist acts, you hardly see a policeman with a gun in the street because it's policing by consent. We agree for them to police us in the UK, on the UK common law, right? So when you think about that and you think about the dynamic that exists in Nigeria that then says that, well, if you're walking around and I'm not sure, you're younger than the age of 30 and I just need to check that you can afford the car you're driving. That's a completely different dynamic, because you've got someone who lives in Nigeria where, you know, it's a scarcity mentality, and they see a young person, and the concept of remote work is like mind-blowing. How can you be here and earning dollars from a company in US or abroad? It's like completely mind-blowing. It's all Yahoo, right? It's all 419. So for me, it's strikes to the core of what hurts me about what's going on. Sorry, Bola.
Okay.
I'll drop
No problem. So I need to first say something very, very, very clear. I do not think police in Nigeria, police everywhere are the same. But I do believe that there's something about the uniform that can bring certain things out of people. And that is not constrained to Nigeria alone. Is my own point. And that's one of the things why, honestly, I can't stand police. I'm saying this as someone that, you know, because police is not all bad. Police can save you. They can help you out, you know, and stuff. But just personally, I've been profiled so many times in Nigeria. I'm in Nigeria, you know, I move a certain way in Nigeria. I hardly wear jeans and shirts in Nigeria. I hardly, you know, I'm typically driven around because, first of all, you know, all these diasporans are not trying to get involved. When you go to Nigeria in December, I just pray you don't take out the car and just go on the street by yourself and you're alone, because whatever you see,
take it like that.
Take it like that. Like I always tell people, driving is a skill. Driving is sort of a skill.
Yeah.
Driving in Nigeria is a life skill.
It's an extreme sport.
It's two different things.
It's an extreme sport.
I've been driving since I was 17. I now if I go back to Nigeria, it's almost like I don't even know how to drive. I don't even want to touch the wheels, not because I'm scared of I might get lost, but like, what if I just make a mistake? Let's even forget that the police just want to harass you and everything. But sometimes you actually can be in the wrong, because one of the people need to understand too is like majority of the stuff is SARS are doing bad, but sometimes people do wrong stuff. It's just a fact, right? So we're talking about when people don't do anything wrong. So when people actually do wrong, think about what police would do to you, and unforgiving. So I just wanted to make that clear. Fair. Now, online, someone made a comment that, you know, in all of this, the judiciary is probably the biggest problem. I'm not sure I agree or disagree. I don't feel like I know enough to be able to formulate a thought process around that. But, and people said in the lines, and Bulama has shared a lot of things that gone through in court. And Lamia, I want you to also, based on things that you've heard and I was saying, I want you to also comment as well. It's like, what do you guys think about? I know a lot of people don't trust our judiciary, like we don't trust the police and a lot of other institutions. But like, what do you think about the judiciary and enforcement of laws and rules through a judicial process? What do you think? How do you think that affects or emboldens what the police are able to get away with?
Yeah, it's a good question.
Lama can go, but I
yeah, I mean, Bola, keep checking your thing because Kike may come back. I think Kike, maybe her connection is not good enough, and she's coming back.
I'm checking. Yeah, I'm checking.
Yeah, I think it's a very good question. Just before I address that, I just want to support Chris's exposition of everything he said in the UK. And I think you are right, Bola. We always should be circumspect. We should be looking at the circumstances. And I think policing in the US is also a very challenging thing, especially for people of color in the UK. We also know George Floyd, Breonna Taylor, many other cases of police brutality and killing of Black and people of color. Having said that, I just wanted to support Chris's exposition on how different the UK police is. And I just want to share a story with a friend told me. He lives here. He has been living here for about 20 years. And he would tell me there was this day they went clubbing. And about 3 of them, all friends, somehow spent all their money in the club. And it was night. They didn't have anything to go back home. They didn't have a transport fare. And then he was the oldest person in the UK. So he told them, okay, now let's all pretend to be drunk and get on the road. And they said, what's your plan? What's your plan? He said, let's do and he said, just do it. Just follow what I do and you will see what will happen. And they got drunk deliberately. Of course, they were not drunk. And they started malangering, if you like, on the street. And the next thing was someone called police officers, and the police came and they pretended to be drunk and didn't have money to go home. And so the police officers picked them up in their car, in their vehicle, and conveyed them home. And he said, okay, this is my plan. This is what I planned. And you can see how
that's a nice police officer, because I'll be like, how do you know your address? If you are drunk, how do you know your address?
I think they told them something to the effect that they drank and they lost remaining their money, so they didn't have money to go home, and so it wasn't like a complete blackout. Now, I think there is a problem with the judiciary in Nigeria, and I am one lawyer that is very critical of the judiciary, and that has got me in trouble with the Nigerian Bar Association, with lawyers in Nigeria. But I will just mention 3 of the ways I think the judiciary is facilitating the torture going on in Nigeria. Number 1 is by admitting confessional statements that were, clearly made under duress. So by law, when a police officer goes to a court and he wants to tender a statement by the accused accepting that they have committed the crime, if the accused person says, no, this was not, I didn't make this statement voluntarily, I was forced to make it, I was tortured to make it, it was made under duress or promise, now they would conduct what is called trial within trial and ask the police officer to prove that it was voluntarily done. Now, unfortunately, even though every average judge knows that—
Can anybody hear Bulama? I can't hear him anymore.
Yeah.
We can hear him. We can hear
I
him.
can hear her very well.
Lami?
Okay.
Lami, can you hear Bulama?
Yes, I can.
Can you hear anyone?
Okay.
Go out and come back.
Yeah, so I was saying, because the Nigeria police cannot conduct comprehensive investigation that will lead to a conviction. So what they do is to torture the accused person to confess. Now, when you go to the court, instead of judges to be very strict with police officers, they give them leeway. They accept their confessional statement, and that emboldens police officers to torture more people and extract confessions because judges accept. The police officers know that judges will not accept this statement once it is made under duress, and they will be very strict with us. They will stop torturing accused persons to confess. Number 2, judges don't do enough to hold police officers accountable when it comes to torture cases. In some cases, they give minimal damages. For in my case, I was telling you of a 24-year-old boy who was going to the university, who was killed by the police, but he gave 10 million naira as damages. How can you how will the life of a 24-year-old man be 10 million naira? And finally, the system doesn't assist judges, because even when judges went to hold police officers accountable, when they give the judgment, you need the police to enforce the judgment against the police. And so it's a broken system.
It's not gonna
You
work.
need the police to enforce a judgment against them. And so it doesn't go anywhere.
Okay.
But I might have a question. So procedure, a question that has to do with procedures in the legal space. So is it admissible for the court, is it admissible in court for the prosecution to enter a statement that was taken from the defendant, whether it's confessional or not, in the absence of his lawyer?
Yes, it is, but I think in places like Lagos there are changes. I think in Lagos, I don't know if they have started implementing, but there is this requirement that it even has to be on camera. So it has to be on camera, being filmed, so that the judge can see the
because that
circumstances in which
answers
the statement.
that deals with that issue of duress, no duress. Once
Yeah,
the
yeah,
lawyer
yeah.
comes
Yeah,
and
I
says,
totally
"I
agree
wasn't
with you.
there."
Yeah, but it's admissible even without lawyer, and that's why police officers don't even allow the accused person to call his family and let them know that he has been arrested until he makes the statement, even though the Constitution provides clearly that he has a right to remain silent. From the police station to the court until the end of the proceedings, nobody can force an accused person to speak, a defendant to speak. But the police won't tell him that he has that right. They won't allow him access to lawyer or his family until after the confessional statement is made. And it would be too late to withdraw it after it has been made.
What if the accused does not have money for a lawyer and it's a case of court-appointed lawyer? Is that also a problem where those lawyers just do whatever they feel will please the police and the legal system?
So there are no court-appointed lawyers. What you have in Nigeria are the Legal Aid Council.
Legal aid,
the Legal Aid Council has lawyers, but as with other public servants, you know you will be paid whether you do it diligently or not. And so they handle it, anyhow. So I think
so. Your case will be inshallah.
Yeah. This is not in any way casting aspersion on Legal Aid Council lawyers. Some of them are doing fantastic job, but the system doesn't encourage them to do anything good.
Thanks
but
to
there
NYSC,
are also pro bono lawyers
aid.
by NBA, but also NYSC. But then the problem with NYSC is you are taking a lawyer that has less than a year of experience, practice experience.
You're in trouble now. And NYSC lawyer representing you.
But they've been
some of them can be fantastic.
When I had the opportunity to work with them, they were efficient. They were able to get some people out during my time in NYSC. So I truly appreciate the fact that they were just NYSC guys with little or no experience, but they were able to do that for, I think, almost 10 people were out jail for that duration of the time they were in.
Yeah, and they are very passionate, very keen about
doing
it
their service here
new.
in Ibadan then. So.
All right.
Can I ask a question, Bulama, just along those lines of procedure and the judiciary? I know David, and unfortunately David has dropped off, but David did a lot of conversations around the time of the Police Act, and there were different schools of thought among legal minds on what it meant. But do you see anything within that new act that makes life easier for the relationship between the citizen and the police, or is it something that needs to be wrapped up in this conversation we're having now to look at it and make it a bit more robust and hold the police more accountable?
Okay, I think you are talking about the Administration of Criminal Justice Act, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I think there are some fantastic progressive provisions in the Act. Some of them are already in the Constitution, but they have been reiterated by the Act. I don't know if they had anything. But one of the progressive provisions, for example, was the provision for prohibiting interlocutory applications inside criminal trial, because that's one of the those are some of the applications delaying trial. It has also made provisions for time frame that cases should be tried expeditiously. It has made provisions, for example, against arrest in lieu of offender. So the police officers go to your house, the accused person is not around the suspect, they arrest his wife or his mother, that's outlawed. So there are some progressive provisions, but more needs to be done along that line.
Right. All right. So, unfortunately, there are a couple of questions or areas I wanted us to touch today, but some of the people I wanted to get to I really wanted to talk about media and all of this, but David, but I would like to get Bulama's view on that. But let's hang that.
Hopefully, they will come back. Yeah.
Let's hang that for a second. Let's talk about, because I personally believe state police, community policing is a solution, not the solution. It's better than what we have now. So the reason why I'm not fully committing to that is because we have some demigods as state governments, as state governors, and I'm worried about that. But I feel like it still will still be much better than what we currently have. If you take, for example, because some states like Lagos have Lagos State Security Trust Fund, and they fund the Rapid Response Squad, and you can clearly see the. I'm not saying they're perfect, but you can see honestly. Okay, for example, Lagos State Commission governor can reach out to the commissioner and say, "Hey, I want this done," and most likely the commissioner will at least listen to him.
Bola.
Other states, make I finish. Other states is different. So my point is, this is my point. I'm a little worried about what can become of state governors, but I truly believe that community policing, by extension, state police, is a much better option than what we currently have.
You don't
That's
finish?
my point. I finished. I'm done.
Okay.
No, I mean it's my point.
Yeah. And I know you're coming from a place of, oh, you've seen what's happened with RRS because you've been talking about it. And I don't necessarily disagree. But if we're going to do state policing, if we're going to devolve the police formations to state level, which is what the agitation has been. In fact, this government campaigned on that, right? And then backed down on it. If we're going to do state police, then the police officials should become elected officials. That's one of the caveats that I would advocate for. Because I don't see the universe in which...
Justin, wait, I don't disagree. I just feel like I don't think that we can achieve that anytime soon.
Why can't we achieve it?
But I don't disagree with you.
No,
in fact, I agree with you more than you are.
You agree with me more than myself, I know.
Yeah, more than you. But I just feel like that one is
it's like Trump delivering more than
it's a pipe dream.
Exactly, Bulama. No, but hold on.
That one there.
This is where we worry. Wait now. If you think that we can actually have a conversation in this country, because it's a constitutional level conversation about state policing, it's a constitutional amendment that is required. If all the centrifugal forces, right, are able to coalesce to have a conversation about state police, why are you saying it won't be possible to have the same conversation to say the police, commissioner of police should be an elective position? And the argument for it is clear. You are Governor Bola Lawal of Lagos State in X year in the future. You will now appoint Commissioner Michael something as Commissioner of Police. You are the governor, rather. You think that Commissioner, whatever his name is, will be able to curtail your own...
We have everybody here.
Short comments. Can everybody hear me?
Yeah. So
yes, I can hear you.
The independence
agree
of the
with
police. Exactly. The independence of the top echelons of the police formation is very key is mission critical to their ability to discharge their obligations to society, right?
Yeah.
Exactly.
Part of the problem we have today is, and the same thing with the judiciary. The judiciary is supposed to be the third arm of government, but somehow in Nigeria we've managed to start treating it like what's it called? We managed to start treating it like it's an appendage of the other arms of the government. Same thing with yes, the police is under the executive arm of government, but because of the unique role that the police has to play, it only makes sense that if you're going to have a conversation about community policing, then the community should have a say in who becomes that head of police.
I know everybody wants to jump. Wait, guys, please. I know everybody wants to jump on this topic real quick, but for the purpose of people like me that don't know what's going on in Europe or UK, are police, like the head of police in UK, are they appointed or elected?
So there's a completely independent process of appointing commanders through the rank and file. There's a police appointments commission that does that. But one of the things that's been introduced in the last 10 years under the coalition government of David Cameron was elected police and crime commissioners, right? They don't have executive power over the police, so they can't direct a a police constable to do a thing or not to do a thing. But what they do is that democratic oversight that says our priorities in this area where I live for the next 2 years will be antisocial behavior or drugs or whatever, low-level crime. Whereas, terrorism and anything like that is more dealt with at the Scotland Yard level. Now, one of the things and this is a very good illustration of the point you're making, Justin, is one of the things that David Cameron was talking about at the time was saying, if local people have democratic accountability over that police, or over policing at a local level, that devolves the responsibility, it gives you more of a say in the place where you live and all that kind of stuff. Now, do you want to guess what the average turnout for the last 3 elections that have been here for Police and Crime Commissioner has been in the southeast of England? Just pick a number.
I don't know. I'm not good with guessing.
11%, 8%, 7%, right, of local people, right? So now you've got a guy, for example, where I live, and I'm not going to say where I live because it's going to be quite obvious. You've got a guy that has failed upwards in different parts of local government, who is now the Police and Crime Commissioner for a police area with a population of 6 to 7 million, right? So it's one of those
that was elected by 10%, 11% of the people.
Exactly. So fewer people that can fit into our local stadium, right?
Wow.
That's one of those things where we look at it and I think about RRS a lot. I've heard a lot of people talk to me about RRS in the last few days, and I think, is that really a model that scales? Or is that something that only exists on the basis of the human being, the one human being in charge who has been able to gather people around him who can deliver on that basis? And that's
I have a couple of thoughts. I have a couple of thoughts because I'm from Lagos. I've known about this thing forever, so I can give some insight, but I don't want to hog the microphone. I want everybody also have their input because community policing has been coming up. So Lami, please, I know you have some thoughts that we're already trying to go back and forth on, and you said you shared here. So on community policing and state police, what are your thoughts? And then let everybody, I really want everybody to get their thoughts in on community/state policing.
I'm pro. I've not always been pro state or community policing, but that's the only way for us to go now. Because I'm going to give you an example. So they've been arresting protesters since this protest started, and I'll tell you that it had taken 1,000,001 phone calls to the governor's office, to the VP's office, to the president's office, back to the state governor's office, to the DPO's office, just to get people released, just to even let their lawyers attend to them. The DPO will tell you, or the CP will tell you he has not gotten a go ahead from the IG. The governor will say he has spoken to the CP and he has ordered him to release the protesters. It's the back and forth. All of this would have been avoided if we did not have this system that we have. All of this would have been, and I'll use Lagos as an example. I'm not the biggest fan of the state government, but I think for a fact that so they have the IRS working, right? That's in mind by the state government, at least to some extent he can, direct them. If we had that, I always imagine if we had the governor, in charge of the commissioner of police or whoever is supposed to be in charge, all of these bureaucracies will have been avoided. We don't need to start calling the.
So what will happen if the governor doesn't like me? So what happens if the governor doesn't like me? If I'm his political opponent, what will happen?
I'm not for electing.
But just let me push back. What happens if the president doesn't like you? That because there's a flaw there does not mean this can't work or we can't find an antidote to that. We have to get away from that. Okay, the president controls the IG, right? What if the president does not like you? maybe he can use the police to come after you. It's also
And you don't
wrong.
know.
So I do.
Which is why I said, as
I,
go ahead, Chris.
I do think that on this specific issue that there is probably a middle ground. Just thinking about everything that you all on this panel know about Nigeria, I think that there's probably a middle ground that takes a little bit of what Lami refers to as the strengths of community policing. And we all probably think about it in a different way when we say community policing. Because for me, community policing means that the two people who walk the beat in my household, probably 5 or 6 different faces. I know who they are. They knock on the door. They know when we go on holiday, so they kind of know if there's anything suspicious. They know the kids who kind of smoke weed in the park, and you just go home and tell your mom, that kind of thing. So the policing is really close to the people. I do think that when we start talking about state police in Nigeria, there's a series of conversations that constitutionally that need to happen.
Yes.
Which for me mean that there will be other things that need to be sorted out first before you even get to the issue of policing. And that's probably why I'm a pessimist on that specific issue. If we think about it as state police, that says that once you pull that thread, there's some things we will be forced to confront and unravel before we even get to the point of state policing. Because remember, like you all said in the beginning, what policing really means is that you're outsourcing force, right? And the person who you were giving that power to, that force over the population to, really matters. Because we're seeing the effect in the 20-odd people who've died in the last 2 days of what it means when the wrong kind of people have that power in their hands. So once we pull that thread, it kind of goes in places where we probably can't control.
All right, thank you, Chris. Kike, let's get you in, and then Bulama, we also need to get you in, and then we'll move from there.
Okay, with this issue of states and community policing, it makes a lot of sense. Why? Because at this moment in time, we are trying to find a solution. And I think the idea people have behind state or community policing is recognizing the police officer that is in charge maybe of a particular community, like Chris mentioned, maybe know the people that live around the place. So I think that idea is the reason why people like the idea of state or community policing. I'll push it further. People keep talking about this RRS. I really don't know the difference. I wouldn't lie about that, because I generally just have this idea about police officers generally. But thus far, it seems that their own training seems to differ from the general federal police. It seems that way.
Funding. Access to funding.
Okay, so they have access. RRS has access to funding compared to the federal police. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, because there's Lagos State Employment Trust Fund. It's a total agency where all the big banks and all of those guys fund.
So whereas we have in the US right now, they're talking about defunding the police. Interesting that we in Nigeria, we actually need the police and the police to be funded. But I understand. I totally. No, I'm trying to say what the American people, like the protesters were saying, that we are now talking about funding the police. I think we will all agree that the police in Nigeria needs funding. I think we can all agree. So what they're trying to say is, let me. No, but seriously, I think it makes more sense, because we think that by the time we get this state community policing, they will be closer to us, like we can know them, and so they won't be so braggadocious like we have them, or so menacing as like we have them today, where they don't answer to, like you can get them lost. They can move you from Lagos, even move you to another police station, and you definitely don't even know the person anymore, because in Nigeria things are just moved quickly. So I think I would agree with people to that extent.
All right, let's get.
But looking at Justin's also arguments that we can vote them in. So let's say we do decide on state and community policing. We should now incorporate voting in the commissioner or whoever is supposed to head that police force for a moment in time. For me, that kind of makes sense because it's like going hand in hand. And like you said, if we're already arguing for police reform, we can sit in the same room and also, because I believe that when a CSP, when a commissioner of police comes before us and is trying to earn our votes to say, okay, you know what, I've noticed that this is the situation in the community, I'll make it better. I kind of agree with Justin. Yes,
Oh my goodness.
we are shaking our heads because we don't know how the electoral process in Nigeria is.
Okay, now you're talking. Now you're
Buriam or whatever.
The last
I
thing was
completely, I
the
understand how
police-
you feel, but the same way Justin is
last thing
disagreeing
was
with
to
state
do
and community
politicize
policing
the police.
is the same way you guys. It's not well. Okay, if you see it that way, the same way you guys are for state and community policing. Like Chris said, we can stay in the middle and go elect the person. Let him be a politician. Elect him in. He will still come and
No,
beg. Then let's make it 2 years.
Hold on.
Sorry,
Hold on,
Kike.
please.
Kike, let me chip in
Yeah.
something to support what you're saying, Kike.
Yeah.
So just to clarify, saying that position
Mhm.
should be an elective position doesn't necessarily mean it should be partisan.
Politics. Yeah.
That's
Okay.
why I say this
Okay.
conversation will take us
Political.
back to the constitution. Yes. So
Okay.
it's not as if
Okay.
one PDP person
So it
is
will
going to
be
come
the
and contest for commissioner of
individual.
police. And
It will mostly
Exactly.
yes, it will be the individual. It will be
But
about
my
the individual,
problem-
and I think that is already
so
practiced in the
then the
US.
constitution
I think so.
so then the constitution would then have to tweak the constitution to allow for independent candidature at the polls, because currently in Nigeria that doesn't exist.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Remember.
So which
what I
opens
said
another
about
door for us to be able to have independent candidature for
What I
general
said.
elections. You see, so
Exactly.
systems are being adjusted as we go on. I think I kind of agree with that person though.
People should
Alright.
be pushing for independent candidature at the general polls. Young people should be pushing for it, because
Alright, can
trust
I
me,
say
we can't
something?
break into this legacy
Yes.
systems.
Can
So
I
that
say
Lami
something?
can run for president.
Can I say something?
You know, and we vote.
Can I say something? Can I say something?
Yes, please, Bola.
Let me
Yes,
say
please.
something. I want to drive Maserati. In fact, it's my desire. I really want
No,
Maserati.
we all.
But let me just
No,
be
I don't want
realistic.
Maserati.
And if it's one small Benz I can manage, I'll manage it. Let me tell you how I'm scared of what I'm hearing. We're barely going from when last time we had any kind of reform from a constitutional standpoint in Nigeria to where we are now going to go from there to making police and elected
Actually, constitutional reforms happen all the time. It's just that we are not part of the process.
But that's not part of it. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
They
possible.
just do
That's
it
true.
low-key.
We're just not
Okay.
aware.
Okay,
It's not
okay,
yeah,
okay.
very low key.
It's finally about to begin, I think, in another 2 or 3 weeks. Yeah.
Let me
They are
use
supposedly doing town hall meetings now.
let me use the grammar that will work with our conversation. When last has constitutional amendment that we were involved in happened? I'm not gonna lie to you,
When
Just
last did country shut down happen?
Baba,
Well,
this one that some people are
have a
saying
point.
na them start them, na them be the father of reform. They've been doing it for 3
No
years.
problem.
The,
No problem.
It's these people that the ones that started trending 545. This one that we've managed. Let it sink in that we've even managed to get this one to go across the finish line first. I'm not going to lie to you. I want state or community policing, but the whole idea of getting them elected, I feel like for us to achieve that, it's going to be incremental. Like I don't know. And there's another question I wanted to ask, like absent constitutional amendment, absent electing police officials, absent all of that, what real solution can we have? But let's park that for a second. On this community policing,
Da Allah zan kira nan da minti 10 haka.
oh, can you mute?
Okay, sorry.
Bolama, I was going to ask you to your opinion because you've not said anything about community policing yet.
So can I say something first?
Go ahead, please, quickly.
First solution, let people be posted to their states of at least their regions. So for instance, how can you have somebody from Kano posted to Ogbomoso and now you stop somebody.
I really don't care about that, sir. I don't. I'm not sure that that's the solution. To be honest with you,
I think it is, because how can he relate to somebody who's speaking about? I mean, need to be very honest about and realistic about these things. I'm also, of course, if the person is conversant with the language, that's okay. But you cannot take someone to an alien environment where he doesn't know, people cannot even relate to him. I mean, so I'm lost in the bomb or so, and I'm trying to, I only understand Yoruba, and I'm trying to find.
But you speak pidgin, Abi. You speak pidgin. You speak human, right? You have compassion. Where are Yoruba, Hausa?
You speak English.
But you speak human. Do you speak human? Do you speak human?
Oh, yeah,
are you a human being? Are you a human
being?
Do
they understand human? Do they understand human?
Who is they now?
Understand human? Police.
So, who is they now? I'm getting lost.
Police.
Because the same Nigerians we live here now and go and become police officer in America and UK. Nobody will talk about where he came from.
No, it's not about where you come from. I'm talking about language. I'm talking about
just to behave yourself.
The environment.
But it's true now. we'll live here and go all over the world and go and join different things and say Nigerians diaspora. But when we come back home, everybody will remember their father's house.
Diaspora Police Association.
please, Bulama, please come in. I know you are much more serious person.
No, I think several things jumped out to me in the discussion around whether states should control police, whether there is need for community policing and all that. The first thing is around the idea of monopoly of weapons or firearms or just monopoly of violence generally. I think the situation you would have when you have states policing are 37 different authorities with powers to license people to carry guns. And this is not in the US, this is happening in Nigeria. Then every state governor will have the power to import arms. And
we can always centralize some of the aspects of it. We can centralize some of it.
I will come to that, but then so the issue is.
But that's scary. That is scary, though. That is
yeah. So
when it presents it like that, it is scary.
And that's the reality, because a police officer has not only has a power to carry guns, but under our laws, the Inspector General, and then it will become the Commissioner of Police, there are kinds of guns they can license. And so that will become a bit problematic. But I think what we can do is to classify offenses. We already have federal offenses and state offenses. So for example, we know that crimes like kidnapping, armed robbery were created by federal laws, and therefore they are federal offenses. Our police, as it is today, we have about 300,000 police officers in Nigeria against a population of 200 million people estimatedly. Now, they have a problem of manpower.
So you're saying we need more?
I am saying we need more at the state level. So there would be state police officers who would not carry guns, who would then be dealing with communities. And the federal police office.
No, that happens.
Does that 300,000 include the 150,000 on VIP protection duties?
It includes everyone.
Wow.
So you have 150 left for the whole of the other country.
Absolutely.
Wow. So, but the point I am making is there should be state or community policing that will take care of small offenses, doesn't require sophisticated firearms, and can work with communities. And then at the federal level, you have the police coming into serious crimes and they don't have contact with ordinary Nigerians on everyday basis. So for example, when you need stop and search in a particular community, you don't need federal police to come and do that. Members of the community who are members of the community police force can do stop and search. They can attend gatherings and provide the required security and all that. And then you have the federal police that carries weapons that don't come in unless there are serious violent crime. This could be one way to go about it. Now, I think we need to look at Lami's point a bit more critically. The question of people being deployed to their areas. That might might not be very helpful in a country that wants to get its people united, but it is very important because it can moderate the behavior of police officers. If you know his own mother and his own father are in the same community, his siblings and everyone, he might be cruel, but his cruelty will be moderated by the fact that he is operating within his own community. He wouldn't be as rough as...
Doesn't that sound like a bandage?
Sorry?
Doesn't that sound like a bandage as opposed to on the problem, as opposed to really rooting the problem itself?
It could be a bandage, but the other problem I was looking at when it comes to that is there will be more room for corruption and favoritism, because if he's in his own community and there are crimes, he can become complicit in the crime, if not actively.
And you know, our people will abuse that. So it's almost like all the solutions have too many holes.
That's my issue.
Yeah,
no, it's not that. It's not that they have too many holes. It's us. It's like it's the system that is allowing the holes to be obvious. Because normally, what we are all suggesting makes sense, right? But the problem is, okay, if you look at this reform that is causing all these problems, that is so-called increase the power of the police officer, the reform is fictive in the sense that it is expecting or it is believing that police officers will be cordial, that they will be professional in their work. So they're trying to say, oh, police officers should be so professional in the work that they don't need to stop people indiscriminately. They can stop them according to maybe instincts, because in the security world, when you get to a particular moment, you can actually properly profile someone. Sometimes it happens, and you can profile. You can look at the person's the way the person. No. I am telling you the truth. I am saying the truth. Whether we want to accept it or not, those are part of the psychological training that people in security. I agree. No. I agree that it is a slippery slope, but you need to understand that this is all part of psychology. I am just making reference to the articles, like to the articles of the law, that the articles of the law presented it like the police will be so professional that they would understand that it's not about stopping people indiscriminately. That even eventually you stop someone, it's not like you will maltreat the person, even if you suspect. You can ask questions. That's what I'm saying. The problem is that the foundation in itself of the system allows there to be so many holes that it seems that the solutions we bring forth will seem not to work. That's the problem. So if, for example, we are talking about elections and you presenting the fact that, we can reform, we can do the electoral process in a way to allow independent candidacy, people find that already difficult, or saying that community policing or state policing can be the solution. We're already thinking, what if the commissioner of police doesn't like me? Why? Because we know that the foundation is horrible. So what exactly do we now need to do to make it easier that whatever solution we are preferring will eventually work? Band-aid or proper surgery to fix the whole thing? That's the question we need to ask ourselves. So
okay.
As Bulama was saying, it gets to a particular position that we begin to have to question that. I'm sorry, but that's it.
No worries. Justin, come in real quick.
No, it was Bulama that was talking.
You get headache.
No. Sorry, Bulama, were you cut off? So
no.
Yes,
I think I have made the point. I just wanted to conclude by saying, look, there could be loopholes in solutions, and every solution has loopholes. It is then required of us to look at each of the solutions. Okay, this has been proposed. How do we marry them together? How do we minimize the loophole
and then ensure acceptable limit, right?
Yeah. So, for example, Justin in the beginning spoke about the need for the orientation. The orientation must be done. We have spoken about the need for community policing and ensuring that armed police only come in when there is armed violent crime. And then we can talk about, okay, if the issue of election, it might not be the proper election we are talking about, councillor, governor, chairman. It could be just someone appointed by the community. It can be through the community elders consensus, because every community has elders that can sit and decide what to do in the community.
Okay,
And in such
I'll
situations,
just let that go. I'll just let that go.
I mean, Bola, we might be so pessimistic about our situation, but I can tell you, in each of our communities, as bad as they are, we know that there are elders of unquestionable integrity that we can trust our lives to. So, there are those in every community. And for example, if we want to say it's an elected position, but we are concerned that politicians can hijack it. We can prescribe we can stipulate very stringent conditions that only few members of the community even meet that condition to contest. I will just give you an example, not to make you laugh, but we can say, okay, only a person who has become a professor in that community can contest in that position.
And then the point is, Bulama, real quick.
Yeah, it's an example.
The point is, would they let us be part of the process of making the rules or putting it in the constitution or having that enacted? That's the problem.
Yeah, no, I totally take your point around constitutional reform. Of course, the constitution doesn't recognize reform; it recognizes alteration, and we have done 4 alterations theoretically, which was done by the National Assembly, and the 5th Amendment process will start, like Lami said, in a few weeks. And I think a conversation needs to be had on our constitution. But the problem I sometimes encounter when it comes to questions of the constitution and our systems is that the constitution itself, Bola, has never been implemented. And instead of us to focus on ensuring that the provision, and I can tell you 99% of the provision of the constitution are allowed. So instead of us to blame non-implementation, we say let's change it. Even if we change it, it won't implement itself by itself. That's the problem.
What's the joke, please?
Yes.
They say your constitution has not been implemented.
Has not been implemented.
We've not even been implemented. Yeah.
We have not been implementing the constitution itself. The constitution, section 14 of the constitution, for example, says the people of Nigeria are the sovereign authority. And their welfare should be the primary duty of every government. The constitution provides for compulsory education for every Nigerian. It provides that governments must provide economic opportunities for Nigerians.
Wow. Constitution is on its own.
But politicians, no one has to focus on that. That will mean holding them to account. So instead of holding them to so we are blaming the papers of the constitution instead of blaming the human beings that are not implementing the constitution.
Bulama, what you're saying is that our constitution is audio constitution.
Yes, audio. I can tell you, it will be more effective if we were pushing the constitution to be implemented.
Wow, Lord. This is
Bulama
probably
has finally cracked the table.
This
You've
is the most
everything.
chilling thing I've heard in a long time.
You've shattered the table.
Take a look at the constitution. There are fantastic prohibitions that have never been implemented.
Wow.
But our attention is from the constitution, change the constitution. The next
so question, Bulama, and this is a stupid question, but I'm going to ask it because we know the answer. But I want to
be stupid. Only answers can be stupid.
So, who's responsible for implementing the constitution?
It is
a stupid question.
It's a stupid question.
It's not a stupid question. There are 3 classes of people that are mandated to implement the constitution.
Why should I be asking who is responsible for implementing the constitution?
They are the executive, the judiciary, and the legislature. Now, but then
and the legislature
to hold them account. Yes, executive, judiciary, and legislature, because each of them have their own duties and how it should be carried out. Now, each of these need to be held accountable by Nigerians. The executive, especially, because the executive has the power to execute the laws that are being made by the legislature, and the judiciary interprets where there are disputes. Now, all these things, take a look at.
You know this thing that you're saying, Bulama. In the US, if you come to the South, why do you think a lot of Republicans win elections? An average redneck An average Republican, search their body, you see a copy of Constitution with them.
And let me give you the contrast.
And they can quote it for you.
Just a minute. I was touching to anyway, it was even in a public gathering, a senator that served for 8 years in the Nigerian Senate and was governor for 8 years, told us he has never read one line of the Constitution.
Ouch.
So I mean, it's a problem. But the problem is, if you want to hold politicians accountable for the already existing provisions, you will be holding their feet to fire. So for them, it is more effective for you to blame the document, which we don't even know the provisions of, and then ask for it to be changed. But no constitution will implement itself.
Everybody.
So Bulama, you had this ammunition with you. You wanted to wait to later in the show to drop the bomb on our table.
We didn't start discussing the Constitution until now.
Hey.
You know what this just underlines is people.
Human beings.
These people gotta go. It's about people.
All right. Let's talk about public education and people knowing their rights, because this is also part of it.
Sorry, so who's accepting that you know your rights? Excuse me, who is accepting that you know your rights? And who is ensuring that when you say you know your rights, you have backing? Because I know my rights, but they can slap me.
You have audio rights.
Because on the road where I say you know your rights, they're giving you hot slap, and nobody's coming to defend you for that person that's giving you hot slap for saying that you know. So what are you talking about?
But I've seen some people actually stand their ground. That work. But I'm not.
Yes.
No, I mean,
this is the courageous one.
Let me tell you this. I mean, Bola, I will clarify this point. Just get me right. I am not saying there are not loopholes in the Constitution. I am saying let's implement them, and then we can start seeing the loopholes.
What works.
Now, the point I wanted to make is we make this seem like nothing will work in Nigeria if you do it the right way, but it does work. I practiced law for 5 years, and I can tell you I have never paid a bribe. I have got people out of police stations. I have never paid any judge a bribe as a lawyer. I have never paid any police officer a bribe as a lawyer.
Have you paid for bail?
No, I have never paid for bail. And that's why when you come to me as a client, because I didn't see law practice as a venture just to make money, I will tell you, look,
you didn't practice in Lagos, Shao.
Yeah, but Kano might not be as, Lagos, Kano might not be as worse as Lagos, but Kano is also a very, everywhere in Nigeria is a bad
big city.
Unless you don't want to see your clients, you will pay.
No, but what I'm telling you is because you see, the legal profession.
You stand your ground.
Was originally conceived as a vacation, just like being a pastor, just like being, you don't do it for money. And that's why lawyers had a little pocket behind their back in the original regalia. And it is when you finish your cases in court that the client will put in whatever they want in the back pocket, and you won't check until you get home. That may not happen now, but what I am saying is it is not something to make money out of. But today, law practice has become like a shop in Nigeria. When you go to the lawyer, you will be giving him his fees, and he will still be looking into your pocket to rob you of something. I didn't practice law in that way. I saw law as a way of helping my community. And so when you come to me as a client, I will tell you I am going to do it the right way, and it is going to take time.
Bulama, so you don't want to drive, you don't want to ride Rolls Royce and Bentley?
No, I don't want to ride in that way.
But you don't mind it.
Yeah, and I can tell you things can work. I think Kike has gone to the law school. If the law school is one of the most organized things I have seen in Nigeria, where lecturers would not go late, where everybody will have to cover his topics, where exams are done fairly. Of course, there could be issues, but what I am saying is we can get things right. Where's the right amount of Nigerians to stand up and say we want to do the right thing? And so it came to an extent in Kano, Bola, when I go to a court, the judge will not do anything wrong even to other lawyers because he knows Bulama is in the court. And I can tell you, they will see me as a troublemaker, and I made more money than many lawyers. In my first 5 years of practice as a lawyer, I made more money than lawyers that have practiced for 30 years because clients trusted me and they came to me with their cases.
And you were getting results.
Diligently, and I got the results. So why am I saying all this? I am saying this so that we know that it could take long. It could be the long way, but let's not give up on Nigeria. Things can work. We can fight for things, and we can do it the right way.
Which is what is happening this week.
No, certainly this week really changed.
This week is showing that we can do it the right way by protesting.
Justin believes in Nigeria, but believing that people will come together has not been one thing I've heard from Justin ever. And even when I looked at him, I was like, Justin believes this thing, That's what I was like, because initially I was like, these people will just keep quiet. But when I started seeing, and you know how all these things work, it's chain reaction. People were like, and the mistake government are doing is, okay, they shoot people. People start getting used to seeing dead bodies on the road.
Yes.
What people don't understand about that is that, see, our minds get conditioned. You
Especially
don't want
Nigerian
this to get used to that, because once they get used to that, they move past that. They will first be okay, we are peaceful. Now it's no more peaceful. Now it's whoever gets the weapon first will leave, right? And then you just don't have a country anymore. So if they like, they should still be pandering. I personally believe that when they did the announcement of the 5 things and everything, me and Justin were talking. I was like, nah, this is audio. But I was so happy that the next day the process was even hotter. The next day, and I'm sure those guys are waiting the worry. I'm giving you your token. Now, what's the problem again? And then,
and you know, whatever will make President Buhari to talk is not a joke.
Even that still didn't move people. If asking for him to spoke, because if you lose trust. Trust is almost like the fabric that holds a country together. Once you lose that, it's not a country anymore. It's just a space that everybody's just sharing, and it's whatever goes. So
there's this common saying that you can't unring a bell, right? Yes. And I think that's exactly what we're seeing right now. What I hope is that people hold on to this anger for 3 years. I know the Nigerian condition leads us to have short memories. And for people like you guys, Bola and Justin and all of you guys, Kike, who have a platform, the real work starts now. Because we just need to make sure that people don't forget how angry they feel right
as much as we can. We're not even angry. I don't think it's anger. We're resolute.
I agree with you, Bola, with that word. It's not
we're
anger
resolute.
anymore.
It's not anger anymore. Who am I angry at? I'm not.
I think
that's the weird part.
These emotions they need to be held on to for 3 years. And it comes on people in the platform to make sure that people don't forget. Because we know we have short memories. You know, I remember the days of getting shot at by Abacha's goons and all of that kind of stuff, right? We all have really short memories. Sometimes it's a little bit of PTSD. Sometimes it's a little bit of, you want to protect what you have. But I just think there's a group of Nigerians in their 20s right now who have had nothing. So they actually have nothing to lose. At the same time, they have this tool in their hands, which is social media, which means that they know what they deserve as well, right?
I mean, one called the president a bad boy. That would never leave my head.
Never. It rings in my head
because it's not the word itself. It's the see your life. It's almost like see your life. You know how your parents will be like, see.
But there's two sides to the generational thing, because I've talked about people in their 20s and us in between who kind of have memories of Abacha and IBB and all of that. But on the other side of the equation, these guys clearly don't know how to handle a huge mass of young people.
They don't. They are absolutely like it's too foreign.
Have nothing to lose. So you see people throwing things out like, "Oh, you're funding terrorism. Oh, we're going to shut down the internet. Oh, we're gonna shut down the national grid." So they're pulling all these levers, which they've pulled since 1960, and it's not working. It's breaking just because they just can't imagine this whole groundswell of the youngest population in the world just standing up and saying, "Actually, we don't want that anymore." Right? So
can you guys imagine 10 years from now? This is when I say you are testing microphone.
You know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of the first time in my life that I grabbed my mother's skin.
That's the best analogy.
I'm sure a lot of us had that experience, right? The look of shock on the old woman's face.
Oh my gosh.
The confusion.
Beat me now. Beat me now. Tell me what to beat me.
Mommy, sorry if this ever gets to you, because I don't trust my siblings. They'll go show her now.
What's up?
Do you know what she did next? She shouted. I held the cane. I said, "You're not flogging me again." The woman now started crying that I beat her up.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. So I think
that's the same kind of reaction that these people are having. It took the whole of this week for them to get their wits together to understand what they were dealing with. And like you said, Chris, I completely agree. The Gen Z, the 25ers, the guys in their 20s, never saw military rule. Now, not a lot of us were actually grown up during military era, but we inherited the fear of the military from our parents.
Yes.
Right?
We had
Your parents
know what's going on.
Your parents transmitted their fear of Idiagbon, because it wasn't really Buhari people were afraid of that time, even it was Idiagbon.
No, it's Idiagbon.
Yes.
My parents transmitted the fear of Idiagbon and then Buhari and then Abacha and Babangida by osmosis and diffusion, right? And then we started raising a generation, and then our younger siblings who didn't see that. And then they had the internet. They have all these tools. They have new media. And they can't relate with that fear. And then they have come of an age where you don't tell them what to do anymore.
They're just looking at everyone like,
part of the turnout. So I was born and raised in Port Harcourt, right? And I was with Port Harcourt peeps yesterday. So let me tell you, the turnout wouldn't have been as huge as it was if the governor hadn't said what he said. I dare say that half of the people who turned out because he dared them, and they say, okay, we're turning up.
Yes, he dared them. Yes. Mm-hmm.
The phrase that he used, the trigger phrase was parents and guardians.
Tell you what,
like, no. Who are you calling parents and guardians?
I will tell your mommy for you.
And that became the trigger. So I really want that energy to continue. And there's a lot of work to be done. I'm just reading now that I don't know which level of the has just some political parties. We've been at war with these our parents' generation for quite a while.
What just happened? What just happened? I know some things are happening because I've been seeing some tweets, but I couldn't go deep into it. What just happened?
Yeah, so I think some of the parties have gone. So after the last election, they deregistered all the parties that the young people had registered, right?
Yes.
They deregistered all of them. And some people, some of them went to court. So I think one or two just won their cases in court, overturning the decision.
Justin,
today.
Justin, remember last week's conversation where we said let's not be completely paint a dark. Let us completely paint a dark picture, because remember you said in 1999, guys like Ibori came out with ads like, "I will build 100 schools with 100." They come on and give you all this stuff. You couldn't even say that today, right? And
the bar is higher now.
The bar is higher. Think about the bar 3 years from now.
I mean, we've seen people commissioning pit latrines. Can you imagine?
I think I think the bar is higher, and I agree with Chris, with Justin, and everyone, Kike, that we must maintain the energy, the momentum that has built. One other thing that must go together with that is the intellectual work, because what we have now is the activism, and activism will always fail unless you have a solid
there has to be
substance to it. And in this case, what I think is to have to articulate specific policy positions that we will present to politicians and ask them to commit to before we go ahead with anything. So it is not waiting for them to make generic statements during elections, with Buhari saying, I am going to create employment, fight insecurity and corruption, with Atiku saying restructuring without telling us what is restructuring, how does it look like.
Everything is why. Everything they say follows, why follows everything, or how follows everything they say.
Why and how? Why and how?
And the problem is Nigeria's politicians are different from others because they have taken us for a ride. Politicians in Nigeria don't formulate agenda until after they have been elected. Everybody runs on agenda around the world, but in Nigeria, they make generic statements. It's only after they get elected that you start talking.
We will build roads, we will build schools,
7-point agenda, 3-point agenda, Jonathan's transformation agenda, all of them come after the election, when you should be electing them based on the agenda. And I think what we should be doing for the next 3 years is continue keeping the momentum on the street, but also articulating the agenda, because we are the ones hiring them. So we will give them the terms of reference, the job description when they come to ask for our votes. And they should be specific so we can hold them accountable.
Let me take it up a notch. Pedigree. Check out their past.
Let me take it up a notch.
It's very important. Yes.
Formulate the agenda, but dude, don't hand over the agenda to anybody. There are plenty 20-something-year-olds that can be local government chairman. There are plenty 30-something year olds that can be state governors. How old were these people when they started governing? So let's get that mindset. Their time is done.
But even if it is the 25-year-old, what you don't want is to get him elected only for him to turn his back.
So we need to pedigree, history.
Let's have the agenda and then we can put our own people.
Let me forget class of 66. They are done.
Let me say something real quick. Shout out to Feminist Coalition, and anybody else that beats feminists is your owner. We are going to support them. Shout out to those ladies. And let me just tell you, if you're an incumbent right now, and if those ladies carry your matter for head and support everybody against you, you are going to lose. You are going to lose. If those ladies support everybody against you, 2023, let me just tell you, if you want to steal at me, fine. Better just carry back now and be stealing all what, because the election results will shock people. And now the rigging is reducing because they know that they will cancel their visa to US, to UK. So that's also affecting them too.
So one of the interesting things is, Bola, just as an anecdote of a conversation I was having this afternoon with someone who's a PPS to someone in government here, is that there will be a time in the next couple of years, depending on how things pan out. Because personally, for me, there's a thing with corruption, which we've been talking about over here, about corruption in Nigeria, which, for me, it's annoying, but it doesn't really grab me it doesn't really grab me.
Honestly, corruption is not even top 5 on my problems.
You understand?
That's Nigeria. I'll be honest with you.
It doesn't really grab me. It's a little bit annoying, but it doesn't grab me. But there's this thing with all of the videos that have been going around in the last few days of human rights abuses. And I think with the work that Blama and people like him have been doing in the last, even beyond the last few days, that there's beginning to become a recognition across Europe about what is happening in terms of the size of the population we have. And what you find is there will be between 3 to 6 people who will be made an example of in the next 12 to 18 months. But not just them, their kids who are in the private schools and who live the life and all of that.
Oh.
And that will send a chill down the spine.
Let me just, as a public service announcement and an advice for free to any public official that is recognizable in Nigeria, please don't enter abroad right now. If you don't want to see this one, Nigeria, they are afraid, right? See, the most ones, they are very stubborn. Nigerians, they don't have respect. If they see you at the mall, they will abuse you. If they see you in place there's no police, they might beat you. Look, if you look at what they did to Ekweremadu in Germany, they went to now in Canada, they went to the High Commission's house, his house, private property. And they were there. The police were the ones who went inside the man's house to call him outside. Your people are waiting for you outside. Come and talk to them.
Yeah. So I think what this has done is, like Blam said as well, is that we're probably, well, I pray that we're seeing the last of this type of person in charge. I don't know. I don't know if it will be drive all.
It's not the last, but it's incremental, but it's not the last. I won't be so.
Yeah, but I think it's going to be a lot more radical than people think, just because there's a little bit of fear that's creeping in now with the kinds of conversations that they're having, the people they like. Because if you remember, they don't respect us, they don't care about us, but they like it when Justin Welby says nice things about them. They like it when the High Commissioner says nice things about them. But those guys are saying, we've just been sent
they're like, wait a minute.
We've just been sent these videos. What's going on? And the responses that they are giving, or the people who represent them here are giving, are not very satisfactory, right? So a lot of the activism that's happening.
We've unlocked some things they didn't expect. We've unlocked it. So these other guys that they are pandering to, these Oyimbos, they will listen to us. All I just need to do is send you videos. Look at celebrities. Look at international figures commenting. Kanye West. Kanye West. So not that Kanye West does anything to them, but what it's just going to keep doing is the international coalition that is happening. And once that's happening, it's almost like embarrassment and shaming to either for you to perform or you get out of the way. But guys, we've gone way over. Thank you guys so much. I'll give everyone 30 seconds for everyone to just say something. I'm counting also. Only 30 seconds to give just a closing thought or appreciation. Especially, let's appreciate the people that are on ground, really protesting and everything. Lami, well done. For you guys in Abuja are very stubborn. I can't believe you guys have done this thing 5 days in a row with all that harassment. But you guys are amazing. So everyone, 30 seconds. Chris, do you want to start?
Oh yeah. Well, first, thanks for having me here. It's just nice to have this conversation. I just felt moved to do it. A lot of really good work being done by the lawyers on ground. I know there was a conversation with over 120 odd lawyers being briefed on how to get people out. You have done a service that will be recognized, and if any of you are watching, you're recognized, you're appreciated. But people who've been cooking, I mean, I saw someone say, the protest jollof was tastier than burial jollof, right?
Yeah.
So that whole logistical effort, an army marches on the stomach, right? So that whole logistical effort of feeding people, watering them, giving them medication, just keep up the good work. We, who are slightly older than you guys, we're taking the back seat and we'll support in every way we can, because this is really your fight, and we'll just follow where you guys lead, and hopefully we get the result that we're looking for. Thanks, Bola. Thanks so much for having me.
Thank you, Chris. Lami.
First of all, I have to say I'm proud of everyone, both people online, offline. It's been amazing, overwhelming, emotional. But we're not going to stop. And like you guys said earlier, we're taking this energy to 2023. You have to come correct or go home. We need to continue to keep this momentum. We need to have more conversations like this. We must not forget. We must not be a generation that forgets. we must remember, when we remember that somebody was killed, we remember that we've been beaten, chased by the army, by the police, waterlogged. They use tear gas on us. We must remember, keep this, this we're resolute now. Let's keep it. If it's anger, anything that fuels you to just continue to keep it going, we must take this energy in 2020. We're deciding what happens in 2020. There's 70% of us youth, and we have the numbers. We need to get our PVCs. Go in, I have my PVC. I'm not joking with it. If you want your PVC to be, returned back to your state, apply now in INEC. We have numbers. There's strength in our numbers. And guess what? They think we don't have money, but guess what? Our money has been speaking for us. We try to lock it, and look, we have everything that it takes.
That's even the audacity. I was like, for real?
They think we don't have money. We're doing whatever it takes. If it's Bitcoin, we'll use it. We're taking it. So you guys
we're not
use
asking for
energy.
Pokemon money anymore.
Exactly. So
we're not asking for Pokemon money anymore.
I'm proud of everyone.
Most of the kids that work at the tech companies. Most of the kids that work at tech companies earn more money than their parents. One person earn more money than their parents combined. The combined salary that they get from civil service.
Stop revealing the secrets now. These guys are expecting their parents to still buy them cars. Please.
They should not worry. But they can't use money to threaten us again. I'm sure about that. Kike, please. Your 30 seconds, please.
Yeah, this is so like warm in my heart. Thank you so much for the opportunity, and I want to say kudos to everybody. I am so proud of the protesters. People retweeting, they tweet. Sometimes I'm laughing, sometimes I'm crying, sometimes I'm right there speaking in tongues for all those people on the street. The medical people, the lawyers, and then the lawyers, the medical people. FK Abudu moving the money, making sure the money reaches the people that is needed. Like people just organize. As in, the organization for me is just amazing. So I just want to say thank you to everybody fighting the good fight. Thank you for not erupting in a riot. Rather, you showed them what education is all about. We are an educated youth, and it was obvious, and it's been obvious for the past days. I am so proud of this thing we are doing right now. It's like me having plenty people that is, cloned myself plenty. It's amazing. Kudos to you guys. So that's all I can say. Kudos.
All right. You said something that is very important. You said it didn't turn to riots. I have a feeling that this police, when we say protest, they are hearing riot. We didn't discuss that, but that's what I'm feeling too. Because I heard one policeman say, this demonstration you people are doing, blah, blah, blah. Some of these guys don't probably not understand when you say we're protesting versus they're rioting.
They know. They just don't like your audacity. That's what it is.
Exactly.
But I think that two things can be true, because I really don't think some of these guys can process that, Justin, to be honest with you. I don't think some of these guys have it in them to process that. But I also think that what you said is also true, because especially the higher ups don't think that we have it in us. But
exactly.
But Bulama, please, your closing statement, 30 seconds, and then Justin will finish us off.
Yeah, I mean, I'll just mention three things quickly. And number one is the big shout out to those of us on ground. Of course, we have all protested, but those in Nigeria went extra mile and took made extra sacrifice, because they knew they were going to be harassed. Some of them would be shot, some of them they would be tear gassed, but they went out. Here in the UK, we went out fully knowing that nothing bad will happen to us. So those on ground have done an incredible job. They have taken extra, they have made extra sacrifice and taken extra risk. So we have to commend them and continue to commend them and to support them in any way we can. The second point I want to make is around the diaspora community. Sometimes one protest in Washington by 100 Nigerians or in London might have more impact than 100 protests in Abuja.
It's true.
And that's because of the international image, because they don't want anything that will go to the international media and get the eyes of diplomats. So why
embarrass them? Yeah.
Yes. And why am I saying this? I am saying this so that we in the diaspora would keep the momentum. let's keep it going also to inspire our brothers and continue to support them back home, but also to do what the Nigerian politician doesn't want. They don't fear God as they fear Europeans and Americans. So seeing us protesting here, and they know nobody will crack down on us.
No,
So,
it's the truth. It's the truth.
Yeah, sadly.
Shade
So,
alert.
let's keep the momentum going. The final thing, the final thing I would say is what I mean. Why I am happy with all this? I am happy with this because in the whole of my life, I have always advocated that we shouldn't give up on Nigeria. And the fact that we are protesting shows that we haven't given up. We think things can go right, even though they are going wrong now. So don't give up on our country. Nigeria is an innocent environment that will work if we make it work. It requires us to make it work. And so, therefore, let's keep going. Let's ensure we make our country work. Every country you see in the world that is working is not working on its own. It requires human beings to make it work. And that's what Nigeria requires. It can be the great country God has destined it to be, but we need to work and make it work. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Bulama. What you actually said about impact in diaspora protests. I heard, I'm not sure how true this, but I heard that the Nigerian government wrote a letter to try to scuttle the protest in London. I'm not sure how true that is, but it's something they probably can try. But yeah, thank you so much. Short notice, and you came on. I have this feeling that we'll still bring some of you guys back on Bulama, because that constitution thing that you said, I'm sure when I go listen to this thing again, I'm just gonna keep banging my hand on the table like, you know that this is pure scam, right? You don't understand what happening is that everybody's being scammed. I hope everybody knows that, right? That it's just scamming. All of us.
For you to even still find the scam, I said the table has been shattered. Like for you to find scam in that shattered table is still shocking to me, because like it's mind blowing.
It's almost like it's like they are conductors and we are puppets, and they
exactly. We are marionettes.
They should not worry. Just to go ahead now, man.
It's amazing, eh? Bulama reminded us that because the constitution is audio constitution.
I just pray Justin mom wouldn't beat you up when you go back home, because your comments.
You know that, Justin, we need to fund a civic startup that's going to focus fully on the constitution. We need to know what's inside. We need to know what's inside. I need to find an app where I'll type justice and to tell me all the things inside.
I think there was a project sometime when somebody actually created an app, so you can. I think it's still in the Apple App Store. I don't know if there's a Google.
If they followed up on it, right?
But there's an app for the Nigerian Constitution. I remember there was some buzz about it some years back, and I did download it. I think I still have it. Anyway, that said, we can't celebrate everybody enough. Who's been out, people who've been out on the streets, people who've been behind the scenes tweeting, people who've provided funding that some people are trying to, let me not even dignify it with a response. I feel like being Raz right now, honestly. I feel like being Raz. Brother Shaggy say, he shocked you. He shocked you. You people saw money. You fear. Anyway, guys, we will keep this energy. We will keep the banter going.
Yes.
We will start driving the agenda for 2023, like it or hate it.
They're in trouble.
Waiting
We have
for
time.
everybody.
We're in 2020.
There's time.
Oh.
There's time. And this, like I said at the beginning, this was a shot across the bow. I know there were a lot of people who had given up on Nigeria. There were a lot of people who were embarrassed to say that they're Nigerians, that if nothing else, what happened in the last 5 days has given them an infusion of green, white, green blood. That in itself is a victory. No matter where you are in the world, Nigerians stood up. People all the places. And you know what it tells you? You know what it tells me? If we fix this country, none of you will be out there. None of you will be out there dealing with some of the things that you have to deal with in this diaspora.
What am I doing here? What? What?
Exactly.
You know how boring this place is?
Exactly. Exactly. It will be summer all year round because everybody will be at home.
See, I'm not even asking for anything. Just 24 hours per hour. If me, I don't even have to be in Lagos. I can be in one place, shoreside in Ondo. I'll be watching. I don't even have to be in Lagos. That's the funny thing about all of this thing.
This was the trailer before the movie.
They've seen
this was the trailer before the movie.
But like you said though,
so let's keep the energy up.
But like you said though, and I want everybody to not to be naive about it. They're coming strong. They're coming harder. They're going to come strong. They're going to come stronger, harder.
That's
the only way they know. Because if they don't know that, why would soldiers be beating people in front of the National Assembly complex in Abuja?
That's sad. If that is the only language we understand,
there are
violence,
videos of those guys going to pull out sticks and sharing it to each other. Sticks and sharing it to each other to beat people. Why are they still doing that? Someone said Nigerian Constitution app is still there. Well, we need to talk about how to amplify that and start.
People need to begin to understand what is in the
civic education is important, and those are conversations that we'll begin to have even more.
Yeah, Justin, we'll talk offline and figure out what we can do. I don't know, maybe we can do a contest, a program or something, amplify it with some episodes, but also kind of do something to really direct it. So we've been doing this show. We've not really rested since we started. To be honest with you, with the kind of energy I have right now, I'm not ready to. I don't have break. I'm not ready to stop. People will say, "Hey, the diaspora." I know, and I want to also tell the diaspora people. Let me tell you people right now. People say, "Oh, you're not on ground." There are a lot of these men when they come abroad, they are a lot more relaxed. They talk. They actually will gist with you. You can sit down with the governor for 1 hour.
And that's their vacation spot now.
You can actually so
that's their vacation
and I know
spot.
A lot of you guys know people. Either you want to tell them or start putting sense in their head, or start telling us what their weaknesses so we can tap into it. But these people, talk to them too. Let them start, because even if it's these people they're not playing, no. Before that, they're not playing this time. Better give them what they want so that they can leave you alone.
You see, my take on this is, time talking ended a while ago. The only thing that's happening now is the change of guard. They have run out of ideas. There is nothing new to expect. There's nothing new to expect. So the program of action is simply the change of guard. Right? What are you going to negotiate with? Look at the people that they lured into some backroom negotiation, right? Trying to create confusion and all of that. But do that at your own risk.
You know what I love about that? You know what I also love about that now is that if they call anybody for me to go now. If they call anybody for me to go now, people were saying that please don't come for any meeting. I'm not going to any meeting. If somebody needs to do,
remember that even though this is a changing of the guard, they will not go quietly.
Oh no, definitely not. Definitely not.
Monopoly on violence, they will come back harder. But they think because it's happened before, we've been here before, they will come back harder and we'll all go home because of self-preservation. But we just crossed the line. We crossed the line on Sunday.
Guys,
and we're just going back there.
I retweeted people I've never retweeted or loved their views in my life.
Bola, you and I, there are some specific people I have pinpointed and said these people are not worth my tweet or my response or even me following them, but I had to retweet. I had to retweet.
Like a veil lifted on my eyes, and what you were saying was making sense to me. I'm like, why did I hate this person all along?
You know, Chris, in every conflict of any form, whether it's an ideological conflict or a cultural conflict, the person who has the element of surprise always has the advantage.
Absolutely.
Well, guess who has the element of surprise? Not to take anything away from their ability to be vindictive and to be, what they are.
Violent,
but guess what? Their tools are tools that have been overplayed. Their hand has been overplayed. You can see them coming from a mile away.
Justin, let me just tell you right now. If you have a fintech idea and you want to launch it, don't forget it. They don't approve it. Don't worry. any new fintech, they're not going to approve it. So that if people can send the money again. So just wait till we take over fully. If you have any idea they feel like
and that's part of the issue too. They don't understand that to move the country economically, all the old ideas cannot work anymore. The ideas that are needed are the ideas for the future, not the ideas of the past. Are the ideas that in 20 years time, in 30 years time, we can apply and use them, and they will be something that we can proudly say, oh, this was done by the youth of Nigeria, So for me, it's part of all the problems we are protesting against today. But this was triggered by the brutality of police officers. Why do you have to be violent against me? What is the idea behind it? Can't you talk to me normally, reasonably? Oh, good morning. Oh, good afternoon. Oh, why do you have see, if you were cordial, if you were courteous towards me, I will generally not even be triggered or misbehave. But the moment you start raising your voice, so now this is the thing. We're ready. However they want to play it, we're ready. Kudos to Nigerian youth.
Thanks, guys, for having me. Thanks.
Thank you so much.
Everybody.
Bye.
Thank you.
It was a pleasure speaking with everybody.
I'm going to close. I'm going to close by saying thank you, everyone, and anyhow they like we give them. Thank you very much. And shout out to all the protesters.
And SWAT
protesters. Stay safe. Nothing will do you. Another show next week. Let's just leave. Don't worry. Next week. Sometimes it's almost like when your child does something and you come here. Are you okay? That's kind of. I'm like, you know what? I don't want to get triggered. We're already almost 3 hours. Next week, but because of all what's going on, our next week's show, Justin, I'm thinking we should do something for the youth next week. These Gen Z people, we need them on the show next week.
They are the ones, though. They are the ones. Gen Z.
Don't worry.
I stand.
Let's just keep the conversation on this topic for the meantime until things die down. Until we achieve the direction. Yeah.
So next week,
till the fat lady sings.
Next week will be a variation of this same topic, but we'll bring a different perspective next week.
All right, man.
Because even I tried to get some of the people helping the protesters, and they were like, I want to come up, but I'm trying to get someone out of. I think they are trying to help people in Benue right now.
We need to let the heat on them cool off, right? We need to let the heat on them cool off, because part of the success of this thing was its decentralized nature. It's dangerous to put people in the limelight, people in the forefront, even though there's no way to do it without people being in the lead. So let's be careful.
They're already going after them. They're already threatening them, sending them messages and all that. And we are watching them. They should not worry. But anyways, we can talk offline, but I have to log off now.
Thanks,
end the broadcast. Thank you so much, guys.
See you guys online.
Everyone.
Thank you, guys. Thank you very much. Sure.
Keep it up.
Yeah.